Welcome back, everybody, to another live Ask the Experts here on Joe Everest, the Fence Experts YouTube channel. Also, you could be watching me on Facebook, and if you are, thank you very much. A bit of housekeeping here in the beginning. Always remember, if you like the content, give it a like. It lets the algorithms both on Facebook and YouTube, it lets them know that we're up to good stuff here. Guys, if you checked out the thumbnail, if you read the description, you know what we're talking about today. I am so excited to bring these guys on. D&J Projects out of the UK, out of Nottingham, have taken time out of their day, their afternoon and evening to come on and just talk about how fence is built over in the UK. So without further ado, let's bring them on. Stevie and David, how are you?
All right, buddy. Yourselves?
Doing well, doing well. Father and son. Isn't that how it's usually said?
Yeah.
Guys, first and foremost, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know Saturdays are busy days for you guys, but I appreciate you taking time.
No, honestly, we appreciate you asking us in the first place. Obviously, that means a lot to us. We really do appreciate that.
Well, ever since I came across your videos, and I don't know how it happened, it's YouTube algorithm somehow. But Stevie, I saw the thumbnail. It was one of you, and I was like, that thumbnail's really well done. I bet this channel's well done. Let's click on it and have a see. And I'm telling you what, I watched all the videos, and so now I am chomping at the bit Sundays and Wednesdays. As soon as I get up, it's already been up for a little while. So it's my first morning routine now.
No, that's wicked. That is, honestly, it's so cool.
No, it's interesting perspective from someone here in the States that's grown up building fence, to see an alternate way of building fence, and arguably, and we'll get into this later, but arguably probably a better way of building fence that to you guys is day to day is normal.
Just the normal. Yeah, that's the way you guys would probably do the fencing, apart from obviously the timber side. Obviously, we do timber ourselves, but not having the sort of option to do the concrete inside as well just seems more so a bit strange on our part.
Yeah.
That's not a natural thing to do.
Yeah, well, that's it. Is that's what caught my attention, and it's funny because this came up maybe a month ago on one of these lives. Someone had asked, "Hey, have you guys seen fence building with concrete posts?" And I couldn't wrap my mind around what that would be like. I was like, concrete posts like that. How does that work? I don't even know. Do you attach the wood to the concrete? I'm not sure. And then we came across one of the videos and we watched it, and at that minute it made sense. It made perfect sense. And what I'd like to do is here in a little bit watch one of your guys' videos where it was the title is something along the lines of quick and easy fence replacement.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm telling you, those at home that are watching, the fence builders especially, this will be an entirely new way of building fence that I really see taking off here. But before we get into that, let's say hello to a few folks here. Andrew Strickland was the first up. He's been waiting for quite a while to say hello. Andrew, welcome. We've got Harrison Fencing on with us. Thumbs up, guys. You guys recognize Harrison Fencing?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Nathan Downs, what is up? He's watching from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Nathan and I are actually members of the Midwest chapter of the American Fence Association. Welcome, Nathan. I actually see Nathan here. It's probably a couple of weeks. We have a field installation school going on up in Nebraska. So we'll all be learning how to build chain link fence together, or learning better ways, I should say.
Pretty cool.
Craig, oh man, I'm going to butcher this, Craig. I'm sorry. Yarmula Senior. Hey guys, Craig from New Jersey. What is up, Craig? Michael is watching from Oz. Watch from down under. Welcome, Michael. Appreciate you tuning in. Brent Mitch, what is up? Brent's a buddy of mine from California. Welcome from across the pond. Very good.
Okay.
Michael goes on to say, looked like brothers.
We actually get that a lot, to be honest.
So Michael, though, the question is that a compliment to David, or is that to Stevie? I don't know. Brent's watching us from Monterey, California. Sue White is here. Hello, Sue. Now, is this Miss D&J, Mrs. D&J?
No, that's my mum.
Okay. Sorry. Apologies. Jacob Bedford's here. Yo, hope you're all doing well. Same to you, Jacob. Colin Shink. Colin's with Mr. Fence out of Indiana. Welcome, Colin. Jonah Reyes. Sorry about that. Yes, Stevie, well done, my brother. Knew this guy over 20 years. Good guy. So he's a buddy of yours, Stevie.
That's it, yeah. Old school buddy.
Very good. Craig's giving us a thumbs up. Total Gardens, D&J all the way. Very good. Jacob says, welcome from sunny Devon, UK. Welcome. God 190 says, D&J awesome team. Agreed. Sean King's with us. Mr. Fence himself. What is up, guys, from the UK? And, of course, Joe. Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much. All right, so with all that being done, guys, if you have fence questions for the fence experts in the UK, drop them in the comments below. We'll get back around to that. But first and foremost, I want to hear the story. I want to hear the D&J story. It's something I'm really I'm interested in hearing everyone's story because everyone's is a little bit different, but sometimes they're fairly similar. I'd like to hear yours.
Where do you want me to start?
Start at the beginning. We've got time.
Sure. Basically, I started doing bits at weekends and stuff. Had a full-time job. Did little bits for friends and family at weekends. Not particularly fencing. It was fencing and landscaping. So I did that for a good couple of years. I built a good client base up. And then decided I'd make the move or the jump to set myself up and go alone. So I started with a little van and started doing jobs here and there and making a bit of money.
Still got that van to this day as well, and he will not let that van go.
Fantastic. No, don't. You hold on to that van.
Trust me when I say that van needs to go. But he's keeping on to that.
You need to hang on to these things, don't you?
You do. So, Stevie, here's the thing, and I understand where you're coming from. But so my granddad had the first Ozark fence truck. He had it in his field for years and years. This thing was beyond repair. It sat in his field. It was a 1953 International pickup truck. It was a really cool truck, but it was just a truck, and he didn't care for it. It sat out in the field. Well, I had dreams of like restoring this truck, if nothing else, just to keep it as a memento. Well, one day I should have shared that idea with him, and I didn't. One day I go over to his house, and it's gone. I said, where'd the truck go? Because it had hand painted Ozark fence, the whole thing. I said, oh, that old thing? Oh, I scrapped it. I got rid of that. No. We needed that for a memento, if nothing else.
Sentimental value in it.
That's right. And remembering where you came from.
Well, Joe, I'm keeping it restored. He wants to scrap it. So, yeah, just basically started then. I got my first unit 2014. That's when my wife joined me. So it was a twosome then. Then we outgrew that unit. But what started making the concrete post? We started making the concrete post in 2015. We had a bit of tax money back from the government. We spent £12,000. That gave us 10 post molds, a corner, a freeway, and 20 rock face gravel boards, a table. And then we had a mixer anyway, but it was like a little mixer, hand mixer. I didn't know how much room concrete takes up. So we fastly outgrew that unit. The idea was to make all the concrete and the fencing for ourselves, for our own jobs. So, then we started looking for another unit. That was 2016. The back unit where the swans are, that's the unit we had. I slowly progressed getting more and more post molds and gravel board molds to increase the fencing, because people are coming to us then to buy it off us. Then we progressed from there. In 2020, we got the front unit, which is the bigger one.
That's where all the timbers.
Yeah, where the timber is at the moment.
Okay.
And the shop, obviously, obviously where we store all that, where the merchandise is going to go as such.
So now we're at a stage where we've got 250 post molds. We've got 160 gravel board molds, plus the not Lego, was it? It's
the big block molds.
Yeah, the block mold. Plus other little things like slab molds and stuff like that, little infills. This year we bought the Panel Master to save Stevie's back, because he was always moaning about his back. So invested some money back in the company to save his back.
Yeah.
That's the story. I mean, that's a short story.
Yeah, no, but that's perfect. And David, I think that story is pretty similar to a lot of guys' stories, in that they start with nights and weekends, right?
Yeah.
They start building fence for some friends, and then friends tell their friends, and slowly but surely you look at your time and you say, I'm spending more time on this than I am on my regular job, and it's time for the switch. Yeah, I mean, there's something nice working for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There's also something terrifying about working for yourself. Because now you're really relying on you.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly nice. And so tell me how Stevie came into the picture in regards to the fence company.
Stevie was there at the beginning. I mean, at the very, very beginning, I was making fence panels at home.
Yeah.
In the garage. So we're just making fence panels at home in the garage, and then someone reported me. And that gave me the push to get the first unit. But Stevie was there at the beginning. I mean, he was 21 and he was helping me make fence panels in the garage at home at night time for the next job the next day. That Stevie's always been there. And he's after work. He's had his full-time job and everything. After work, he's always come after work and making fence panels. That's why he's absolutely rapid on that nail gun.
Lots of practice.
The practice makes perfect. That's exactly what it is.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, it's always been there. I mean, he joined. What year did he join?
Full-time.
Yeah.
This year. Joined. So basically, obviously, like my dad said, I'd already made a few panels in the garage in backyard at home, and obviously the neighbours weren't too happy with the nail gun going off at 10 p.m. at night. So obviously there was a complaint made, probably rightly. Who knows?
I wouldn't say it's 10 o'clock.
So again, like my dad says, that's where the push came to get the new unit, and then I didn't really do anything in that unit until they got the backyard where the swans were, where the swans are now. So around about for 4 years, I've been going. So my old job was start at 7 in the morning and finish at 3 in the afternoon. So as soon as 3 o'clock came, I would drive down to my mum and dad's new place and probably stay there for 2 to 3 hours making fence panels. And I've probably done that for four years now. And then what made me have the push to join my mum and dad's business full time. Obviously, I always knew I was going to do it. It was just being at the right time.
Sure.
Last year, the place that I was working for started to offer out redundancies. So basically to pay you to leave, obviously, your job. And then I applied for that and they rejected me. So I didn't get accepted for that money. But I think that was more of the final nail in the coffin of offering me something, not giving it me. And then I just thought, you know what? Maybe the time is right now, because if I don't do it now, whenever will that time be? Yep. So the 1st of January, 2nd of January this year is when I've been full-time for my mum and dad, obviously being like the fence installer as well. And obviously learning from my dad with the hard landscaping as well, because I've done bits and bobs like that. But being with my dad, who's a perfectionist, is helping me a lot more than just seeing stuff on YouTube or just doing an odd one here and there.
Sure.
Learning from my dad all the time on the jobs is obviously really helpful, and obviously being there all the time is obviously helpful. So that's how I came to join as well.
Yeah, hands-on training is probably the best training.
Yeah.
You can only learn so much from watching. You really have to do it.
It's the same with anything. Obviously, watching it on the TV, on YouTube, or being in a classroom. Yeah, it can help, but actually being out on site, learning how to do all the stuff, it just sticks with a lot of people better in their minds. It's a lot easier to learn that way. Well, for me anyway, and probably for my dad, and maybe for a lot out there as well.
I'm much the same way. I can watch something and get a general idea for it.
Yeah.
But to really understand it, I have to do it just for it to make sense in my mind, I guess.
That's it. No, I think we're all on the same page with that.
So, Stevie, what line of work were you in prior?
So when I was 18, I joined the Nottingham City Council, so the council from our area, and I was a gardener for, I think it was 8 to 9 years. What I would do is I would mow 250 gardens with my uncle, because I used to work with my uncle as well. So he's basically the person that brought me on board, gave me the opportunity with the council. So I just used to basically cut gardens, cut shrubberies, maintain gardens for the old age pensioners and people like disabled people that couldn't maintain their own gardens. We would look after their gardens. But then I would, like what my dad says, where he was doing the jobs on the weekend. I would do my, say, 9 to 5 in the week. And then when the weekend came, that's when I would go and do fences with my uncle, do more gardens, always actually trying to progress and learn a little bit more. And then obviously, because joining my mum and dad, at the end of the day, it's a fencing company. There's no point me joining if I know nothing about the actual fencing, obviously. So just did a few fences, done some with my dad as well, and then just progressed from there. Hence why we decided to make this switch.
Yeah, very good. Now, David, what was your background prior to the fencing?
My background's always been civil engineering, so working on the roads, slabbing, tarmacking, grab driver, JCB. You call it? Is it backhoe? Backhoe.
Okay, yeah, backhoe.
Okay, yeah. The JCB. Lots of machine driving, all different kinds of machine loading shovels and that.
Yeah.
That kind of background really, and I learned a lot from my dad. So he taught me a lot. My dad's a joiner by trade.
Okay.
And everything. So yeah, I learned a lot from him, helping him with his gardens. Yeah, bricklaying and everything.
So everyone's kind of in outdoor type trades prior to the fencing. That makes sense.
No office jobs here.
What's that?
No office jobs here.
Office jobs would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Being indoors all the time.
Same 4 walls all the time. Don't get me wrong. Nothing against anyone that does it, because obviously there's a lot that do. But for us, being outside is great. Sometimes, because sometimes it's hot, but when it rains, you know about it. So,
well, so that's a neat point. So you guys have been getting a lot of rain lately as well.
Yeah.
We've had off and on. We've had about 2 months worth of rain. I mean, we'll get a day here, a couple days there, but for the last 2 months, it has rained more than it has not.
Yeah, pretty much the same here. The last few weeks especially have been terrible to try and keep on top of hard landscaping jobs, especially because it's probably certain stuff that you shouldn't really be doing in the rain, because it's just not ideal. But I guess that's where that office job is perfect. You can work all the time. It doesn't really matter.
Well,
the office job, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe about the office side.
That's the time of the year, the summer and the winter for me. I think, maybe that office job wouldn't be so bad.
That's the thing, especially like you just said with the summer. Obviously, working outside, there's a lot of people that say to us, I bet you love working in this heat, in the sun. But you actually have to remind them that it's actually physically draining. When you've got 20 to 30 degrees bearing down on you, trying to put a fence up, like you guys will probably know yourselves, digging those holes can be manual labor. So you sort of want it to be mild, 10 degrees or so. Obviously, I know you guys are in Fahrenheit. So
Sure.
that might sound freezing to you, but
it does. But I understand the point. Yeah, the spring and the fall weather are
you
ideal.
don't want to be putting a fence up in 100 Fahrenheit degree weather, do you? So
right. That's right. Yeah, and when we're building fence, we're not typically building it under shade trees, right? It's typically out in the open in all the elements.
That's it.
Now, you guys, David, you guys do more than fencing.
Yeah.
So your civil engineering side makes sense when I watch videos of you guys doing like driveway approaches.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What all does D&J Projects tackle?
Well, we say fencing and hard landscaping, but obviously hard landscaping varies a lot of different jobs into that. So you could say slabbing it, not as much as like garden maintenance, cutting gardens and grass. We're not really, that's not something we really do. But say driveways, drop curbs, like you've just said. So driveway entrances, fences, obviously that's a given. Don't really mess around with trees too much. We used to, but then my dad used to get someone in to do that sort of aspect of work for us.
Sure.
But it is a lot of mainly just hard landscaping, but majority is definitely fencing, I would say.
Yeah. The company's gone more the fencing way rather than the hard landscaping there.
That makes sense. And you do some deck work as well?
Yeah. Quite a few decks, whereas the hot topic of it's upside down, you put it upside down.
So I watched that one. So guys, what we're talking about, and so in the States, it's going to be kind of hard to picture, I think. But so their decking boards have grooves cut into them along the grain of the timber, if that makes sense. So just probably 1/4-inch grooves cut throughout. For traction, I would presume, or for just water drainage, that sort of thing. Yeah. And judging by your comments in the video, this is a hot topic on whether the grooves go up or down.
I think it's crazy. And obviously, my dad's done a lot more than me, a hell of a lot more than me. But my dad's probably laid thousands with the grooves up, and maybe one with the grooves underneath the smooth side. And obviously it's all on customer preference. So whatever the customer wants, you're going to give it them.
That's right.
But, so when we do a decking, and obviously we get the fact that now that we're filming, obviously all of our content, it's for the world to see and people are going to have a judgment on it.
Oh, yes.
If you was just doing it by yourself or as your normal work and you're not filming, you can get away with whatever you want. Sure. But now that we're putting everything out there, there's always someone in the comments, as you know yourself.
Oh yes. But to your point, as long as the customer's happy, that is the correct way, right? To a certain extent. But it was funny for me to watch. And here's the thing: is this might be my experience here in the middle of the United States. So sometimes I'll say things on the channel, and I'll have guys and gals from either coast of the United States say, well, that's wrong because I've always done it this way. Yeah. And so that's something I'm learning throughout this process is just because that's the way I've always done it and my family's always done it, doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't done a different way somewhere else. For us, that comes up. So a lot of our wood fences are built on site. So we would set a timber post, timber rails, and then nail the pickets just onto those timber rails. So the point of conversation typically is that finished side. So you get a finished smooth side, and on the opposite side, you see all the structure.
The rails,
That's right. So the
cant rail fencing.
Okay, what's that?
Cant rail fencing.
Cant rail fencing.
That's what we call it, yeah.
Good to know. So the point of conversation is that smooth side, should it face away from the customer or towards the customer? In our area, in my region, that smooth side, the finished side, faces away from the customer. So it presents a nice finished look to everyone from the outside. And it also is a security benefit because now someone can't just climb the rails and hop on in. But I said that in one of my videos a while ago. There are a lot of people that think that is the wrong way of doing it. Their point, which makes sense, is that the customer that is paying for it should see the nice side, should see the finished side. If they're paying the bill, they should see the nice side. So I say that to say, yeah, you can find heated discussions anywhere on whether it's the ribbed boards up or down on decking or the smooth side in or out on fencing.
Yeah, obviously
We get that.
we get that all the time, in all honesty. And going back to obviously the way you guys do fences, obviously the camp rail fencing for us, you guys give the neighbor the flush side.
Yep.
I would probably say that's probably the opposite to us. We would give the customer
99%
the flush side, unless they made the preference and said, no, give it the neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless we were in if it's just dividing two neighbors, and then we give our customer the better side as such.
Uh-huh.
If it's facing like an alleyway or onto a main road or something along them lines, then we do the flush side on the outside. Again, going back to your point, the safety aspect of not being able to climb over those rails. But I guess in between two neighbors, pure. If the customer says no, they can have it, fair enough. But if we've not seen anyone and no one said anything, then 9 times out of 10 we'll probably give the customer who's paying the money the better looking side as such.
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And it's just
some people are different. Like yourself, in our YouTube comments, people say to us when we're putting the concrete sided fence up as well, that the good side should face the neighbor. It should definitely face the neighbor. But obviously, I guess it's personal preference. And if the customer's paying, say, thousands of pounds for this, in a way, they sort of do want to see the best side from where we are anyway. Obviously, I don't know what it's like for you all the time.
That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. And this is kind of what I mean when I say, there's no right or wrong way, right? There's a regional preference, I guess you'd say. Just that in our area, it's just kind of normal to face that smooth side out.
Yeah.
But maybe only because that's how it's always been done. There might not be much logic to it other than, well, that's just the way all the rest of the fences are built.
Yeah.
But there are always people in the comments that know exactly how it should be done.
Indeed.
Let's say, speaking of comments, let's say hello to some more folks in here. Let's see. Trying to figure out where we left. Up there we go. Neil Meacham, I'm sorry, says, hello, man, from Northern Wales.
Hello.
Very good. Brent Mitch is spearfishing Catalina Island in Southern California. He's going to give us a shout out underwater. That might be a first. Actually, I'm pretty certain that's a first for me. Billy Grove is saying hello from Pensacola, Florida.
Hello, Billy.
John Hibby says, D&J, what a great channel. John from Nottingham.
Howdy.
Very good. Andrew Strickland's giving us an all right. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. Jacob Harvey says, that's how I learned everything. Learned from my dad. I think this comment came up when we were talking about learning just by doing. Isn't it? It's neat for me. I mean, obviously learning from my dad in the fencing trade, but it's neat to see others doing the same, right? That passing the trade down from generation to generation. It's something nice to see for sure. All right. Jacob Crosby's joining us from the Texas Gulf Coast. Welcome, Jacob. Kevin. All right, guys, I'm going to need your help pronouncing this one. Kevin Nevey says hi from.
Well, we might need some help.
Worcestershire.
Okay. All right. There we go. 3 for 3.
Look at it. It looks like Worcester.
It does. Worcestershire. I don't know. Yeah. All right, moving on. Roger. So, guys, Roger's been one of these guys that has been with the channel from day one. He's always in the chat. He's a very good fellow. Hello, Roger.
Roger.
Audio Freak Cult says, yes, D&J is fire. Agreed.
Thank you.
Roger's got a question for D&J. Do you guys have any experience with spun cast concrete posts?
I'm going to Google it now because I'm not too sure.
Yeah, Roger, to be fair, I'm not incredibly sure either when we're spun cast concrete posts. We'll come back to the question. M&H Fence, hello from Littleton, Colorado. Michael Anthony is saying good morning from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Scott Fence, USA.
SPUN.
Oh, here, spelling.
Oh, Broxton, Nottingham. I just seen that last second.
Yeah, I'll bring it back.
Have an experience of spun cast concrete post. Reinforced concrete poles, commonly referred to as spun poles. It's got a weird one, but I'm not sure.
Just reinforced concrete.
Yeah, we don't do them. I've seen them. They're like a decorative.
I like a lamppost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Street lights.
Very good. Very good.
If that's what obviously this chap's on about, but we're assuming that's the thing, then I would say that no, we've no experience with with that. Sort.
So if that is it, Roger, there's your answer. If it's not, leave us some clarification. All right, let me get back down to there we go. Josh Elliott says hello. Now is it Brockstow?
It could be, but we think Brockstow.
Brockstow. Okay. Your way is the correct way on this one. I'm here to tell you. I mispronounce everything. For example, I did a reaction video from a gentleman actually is a company in New Zealand called Mitre 10. But the way it was spelled is not the way we would spell miter in our version of English, right? Yeah. So I was like, is it meter 10 or miter? I don't know. Again, the people that know exactly the way to say it showed up in the comments and let me know that I mispronounced that completely and that I speak the wrong version of English. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Craig Yarmula says, do townships have a say in how the fence should face?
If he means like the councils, basically, I think that's what he means. I don't know if it's what side it faces.
More height.
Yeah, the height, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said before, 6 foot in the back, 4 foot in the front is pretty typical here.
Yeah. So that's the same here. In our area, sometimes the different cities or townships will have they'll have a regulation on which way it is to face. Sometimes neighborhoods do. So sometimes neighborhoods have their own associations or councils that just regulate the neighborhood, and they'll have a preference on whether it faces in or out. So
yeah, I've not really heard that here. I think it's more of a free for all.
Yeah.
I'm having what I'm having sort of mentality.
No, well, and it's just again, guys, different things are done differently in different places.
Yeah.
So we talked about this the other day when we chatted, but you just said 6 feet.
Yeah. 6 feet,
Use an imperial measurement. Let's chat about that for a little bit because I think it's interesting. So you guys use both imperial and metric when measuring for fences.
Pretty much, yeah, to be honest. I think, I'm not sure on my dad, but obviously if it's a standard measurement of 6 foot, which we know all our panels are at 6 in width anyway, standard. Obviously the heights vary from, say, whatever you want, but 3, 4, 5, 6. So we know that they're in the feet to us anyway. But when the packs of lumber, the timber actually gets delivered, obviously they've got spec sheets on that piece of timber. They're all in meters.
Yeah.
So they're in like 1.8s, 1.5s, 1.3s, 1.2s, all different sizes. But when we're talking around about a 6 foot fence, we don't say, that's 1.82 meters or anything like that. We don't mess with that. We know what that number means.
Sure.
But like we said before, if it was, I don't know, 12 feet, 20 feet, we would have no idea what that was in the meterage of such.
Sure.
Getting our calculator out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in my head, I would go, okay, 6 is 1.8, so 12 would be 3.6. It'd take a little bit to work that out. It's interesting, though. So, David, you were saying that's, and Steve, I assume too, that's just how it's taught in school, is both of those interchangeably?
Yeah. So, we taught both in school.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, obviously, here in the States, we're taught imperial. There was a push when I was in elementary, maybe middle school. So in my younger years, obviously, there was a push to incorporate metric. But then it only lasted a year or two, and then it went away because all of the parents said, I don't know this. What if we're to help teach our children something that we don't understand? How do we do that? We need help. And away went the metric system, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because I absolutely understand how well the metric system works. You know, when we're talking about millimeters to meters, I understand the conversion is incredibly easy, but to someone that has never been taught it, I mean, it's the example I use is I also don't know how many stones are in a ton, right? But to someone else, they know that immediately.
Yeah.
If you don't use it on the daily, it's hard to. It's
personal preference as well, because I don't know about you guys, but when we're measuring a fence job, well, for me anyway, this is probably more to me. I don't know what my dad, he'll have to say otherwise. But if we're using the laser measure and say we're standing, I say 20 feet, but say we're standing 20 feet away and we use the laser measure, it will convert whatever that distance is into meters.
Okay.
For us, and it will say how many meters that is. But going back to old school with, say, a tape measure, the way I do it is I'll measure whatever that distance is, and I will just, in my own preference, to make it simpler for me, I will just pick the better looking number. If something says 227, I don't like that, and I'll go for the 3 foot option or whatever that number says. And if it looks better to me, and it's something easier to remember, then that's the way I go. But if we're talking general speaking, then I use feet. But small distances on a tape measure, I'll pick and choose.
Yeah. Agreed. Very much agreed. Very much agreed. Well, I wanted to bring that up because it was one of the first videos from you guys. And it was actually right after the New Zealand video, because what happened was he was using metric. It is so many meter tall. And I was like, I don't know how tall this fence is. Let me do some math real quick. And I completely ruined it. I mean, but we left it in editing. I was like, you know what? Leave it in, because that's me being a real person, not knowing how much.
We're not
man.
Off the top of our head.
Yeah. I should have left that one out, I think, because there were a lot. I mean, obviously I'm American. And so there were a lot of comments about how Americans don't know metrics. So anyway, but that was one of the things is I saw you guys use David, you had actually mentioned that the hole was 2 foot deep or something like that. And someone else. All right. Imperial measurements. All right. Let's catch back up here. Jason Kyle says, I knew they're from Nottingham as they both sound like
Carl Froch. Yeah.
Carl Froch, the Cobra.
You won't know who that is, do you?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
He was born in the same place. He's actually where my dad grew up in Gedling, basically, is where Carl Froch was from. Pretty much around the corner. Went to the same school.
I went to the same school as him. So yeah, he was 2 years older than me.
But he's just to let you know who he is. He's a world famous international boxer. That's one of the belts. So he's retired now, but only the last few years. Do you know Wembley Stadium in England?
Yes, Wembley. Yes,
well, he filled that with 80,000 fans that he likes to remind a lot of people of. So, he's quite big, but obviously he only lived around the corner from us and grew up from where we are. So it's probably
incredible,
similar.
We have a few.
I think we sound similar. We're just
well, that's the funny thing with accents, right? Is I can be in a room of people and think we all sound the same.
Yeah.
And then someone else will come in and say, well, now you sound different from you, sound different from you. You're from the Midwest. He's from the West Coast. Really? Like, I think we all sound the same. I go, no.
It's like when we watch, if we watch, say, I don't know, say just for the English, for example, if we're watching a video or a YouTube video, we think we sound normal and everyone else sounds different. They're like, their accent is weird. Like, we think we sound normal. But
well, of course. It's what you hear every day.
Yeah.
So it's what sounds normal. So the thing I like the most about your videos, or one of the things I like the most, is your sayings, right? because they're unique to me. Like, I haven't heard them. For example, there was a video that included a neighbor, and and we are all very familiar with the 3 reasons people build a fence: kids, pets, and bad neighbors. So I've had my fair share of neighbors. And so this particular neighbor had a very strong opinion on how the fence was to be built.
Yeah.
And your name for her was?
See, to me, it's normal, but Sergeant Major.
Sergeant Major. That is so great. That is so, as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, that is the best term in the world. Sergeant Major. This needs to be this way and this way and this way. From now on, in this office, Sergeant Major it is. But no, yeah, hearing your guys' terms and phrases I enjoyed a lot for sure.
Oh, no, okay.
Anthony Albers, Dave and Stevie, you're a pair of legends. Well done on all the hard work to get your business where it is today. I agree. I was surprised, David, to learn. It was in one of the videos I think you had said where you guys had been in business 7 or 8 years. Because watching, you're looking at your location there, the buildings and such, and the processes you have in place for making your own post, and it really seems like a company that you've been perfecting for 15, 20 years.
Sure.
It really seems like one of these companies that you spend a lot of time on. So is that much more impressive to me to see the level that you're at in 7 or 8 years. It's really something to see.
I think when we obviously we've just done the full yard tour on YouTube, the latest video. I think that my dad has surprised a lot of people. My dad and my mum have surprised a lot of people with what they've managed to get so soon. But a lot of people, obviously, you will obviously know, but a lot of people just assume that that's come without sacrifice, which obviously it hasn't. There's plenty of stuff that my mum and dad have gone without to get to where they are now, which I'm sure my dad will be able to tell you guys a little bit more, obviously, if that's what you guys want to hear. But it wasn't without its sacrifice, obviously. Well, I'll just say a quick one, but obviously when my dad's working these late nights and these weekends, of course it's for the money, but at the same time it's to better not just my dad's life, but the family life as well. He's trying to do it for all of us. He's not a selfish man. So when he's out there at 9, 10 o'clock trying to lay the last few slabs for someone, it's because he's trying to do it for all of us, make the White's family name better off. But then obviously, like, in the YouTube comments, there's always someone, they think that it was given to you on a silver spoon. But it's not like that.
No.
But I think it surprised a lot of people with how far we've came in a short amount of time.
Agreed. And I think that's what impressed me the most is seeing it is the sacrifice, right? To see where you are now in 7 years, when normally companies will sacrifice, everyone sacrifices in their own way. Don't get me wrong. But some people, it would take them 15, 20 years to get to where you are now because they prefer to sacrifice less. Right. So I think that's a part to me that was most impressive, was seeing your operation and knowing the incredible sacrifice it took to get there in such a short time. But David, do you think your time as a civil engineer helped you with as far as processes, policies, that sort of thing, in setting up your business?
Yeah, I think so. And I think having a lot of contacts and being nice to people along the way, building bridges with people, not shutting doors in people's faces, that helps. So you've always got people to call on.
Yeah.
If you can't get something, you can always ring someone up, which will help you. I think just be nice. I think that's my biggest thing. You know what I mean? Be nice to people.
Yeah.
And they'll bend over backwards for you. I've had a lot of help of people in the past building the business and everything else, where people are like, "Oh, I'll give you a hand, mate. No worries." Just be nice to people. I think that's why we've come a long way, because it does go a long way.
Also, as well, though, but my dad's not mentioned, when it came to making a certain size concrete post, that was more of a reason for someone not being nice.
Yeah.
And someone shutting the door in my dad's face as such as a metaphor of saying, no, you can't have that no more. So that sort of spurred my dad on to then go to that next level of like, you know what, let's just do it ourselves.
Sure.
Why depend on someone else? Because one, like we've spoke to before, you can't always guarantee the quality.
Yeah.
But secondly, you've always got it for yourself, especially if you're waiting on a job for that particular product and someone lets you down on the 12th hour. So again, with my dad being nice as always, but at the same time, sometimes you've got to show people that it's not always like that.
Right. Well, yeah, no, absolutely. So I think there's a lot to be said for that too. By when the opportunity isn't available, you make it available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So when the opportunity wasn't available for those certain sites posts, okay, well, we can make them ourselves. That's fine. Yeah. So you guys sell the materials as well as install them, right?
Yeah. Mm. That's probably a big part of our business as well as a manufacturer as such, manufacturing and supplying. Obviously, my dad did the hard, serious graft at the beginning with the hard landscaping and the fencing install. He sort of passed the fencing install on to me now, so I can break my back instead.
Sure. It's a younger back.
That's it. As you've seen as well, though, obviously, we're still doing a little bit of hard landscaping, but a lot of the business now, as my dad will probably say, is a lot of manufacturing, selling to tradesmen, general public customers. A lot of it does go that way now as well.
Absolutely. Is that common in your area for someone in the trades to also sell to the public?
Obviously, where we're from, there's a little bit of competition.
Sure.
Our main competition is ourselves. We're only bothered about what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say all tradesmen. There's not a vast majority of them that will, because obviously it doesn't come easy. There's a lot of money that has to be put up front too. Like when my dad said, we're buying those first post molds and concrete gravel board molds. They're not cheap, as you know.
Right. Well, in the machinery.
Machinery is not cheap. Rent's not cheap. So not everyone wants to do that because obviously when you become just an installer, you can do it from home. You just need a garage for a few tools. You don't need a massive business yard to obviously do the supplying. So
sure.
So I'd say the answer is probably no. Not a lot of people do that, but there is a little bit of competition. But again, as long as we're doing our own thing, that's all that really matters.
That's right. We see that a lot in comments when, and we talked about this the other day, where like in a Facebook group, like a fencers Facebook group, there's always a conversation of, well, what should I charge for this? Well, what should I charge for that? What? And that's a question no one really can answer, right? Because my price isn't based on your price.
Yeah.
Because my price needs to be based on what I pay for material, what I pay for the labor, what my overhead costs, taxes, that sort of thing are going to be. That's my number. Yeah. And I think that's where guys and gals get themselves into trouble is by relying on someone else, by watching their competition and just trying to do what they do rather than focus on their business.
Yeah,
each business is different.
100%. Yeah.
There's a lot of that here. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that here.
Yeah. So, are you guys unique in that you do so many different things, or is that fairly common?
Yes.
All right, if we go back to the competition side of what we do,
sure.
There's obviously a few that do fencing and hard landscaping.
Okay,
it's obviously fine, and obviously it works for us all.
Sure,
but then I don't think there's many in, say, our position, thanks to my mum and dad, from doing the hard landscaping, the installing of fences, but then also supplying to a vast variety of different traders.
Yeah,
I think they're either doing the fencing and the hard landscaping, or they're just manufacturing.
Okay,
there's not many that are crossing over and trying to do it all in a sense. Do it all.
Sure.
Be at the top of the tree for everything.
The reason I ask is here a lot of companies specialize. So our company, we specialize in just building fence. That's all we do. Now we also do sell to the public fencing materials. it makes sense if we have them here anyway. Why not make them available?
Yeah.
But even that's fairly unique here. In that even in our city, we've got 4 or 5 competitors here that all specialize in fence, but only 2 of us sell to the public. The others will not sell, materials to the public. But I say it's unique in that, like, we like to specialize. And so then we'll have other companies that specialize in hardscapes, that sort of thing. It was interesting for me to watch you guys, because we like to say that no 2 days are alike for us. We're always in a different yard. We're always building a different fence. But you guys take that to the next level, because one day it could be fence, and one day it could be a hardscape job, or one day it could be a driveway, that sort of thing.
Full day on the grab, like that's another aspect of it as well.
I love watching the grab videos. I love watching them. So let me do this. Let me figure out how to pull up a picture. So, guys, of you from the States that are watching, these grab vehicles are phenomenal, and I have looked. You can't buy them here. I've tried looking everywhere. Now, there are a lot of them for sale in the UK, but there are 0 for sale here in the States. But let me see if I can't. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
We'll say grab vehicle. Let me try to find an image real quick here. Well, since I'm in the States, my Google just decides that I don't know what I'm trying to look for here. Grab van.
Hiab lorry.
Hiab. So HIAB. It's actually spelt weird. Hiab.
There we are. Okay. So I'm going to pull up this picture. Now, let me see. Again, guys, I'm a fence guy. I'm not a technology guy. So let's all bear with me here for a second. But I think I figured this out. Okay. So this is a grab. Right. Or, well, this one has a crane attachment, though. So maybe this isn't a good example. Let me see.
I can't really. The best you're going to look at is the one in the middle of the white one with a red crane.
Well, just a second. We're going to bring everyone. We were going to do this in a little bit anyway, so we might as well just introduce them to the channel for those that don't know. D&J Projects. Make sure when you search D&J Projects that you subscribe and you ring the bell.
No, we appreciate that. Thank you.
That helps everyone. Okay.
Morning, YouTube. It's Tuesday morning.
This guy looks familiar.
I'm doing a Wednesday video. With me in the grab. Let's have a quick update on the swans. We're still resting on them eggs, and he's there keeping guard.
I'm sure she's built that.
Vehicle checks are done. Got my job sheets. I've got lots of grabs, all different destinations, and it won't be a long one because I've got the dentist. So let's get on. Let's get to it. Right, first job of the day. We've got HGV, little taco disc.
All right, so let's talk about this for a second. So it's a little bit different. All right, so I guess first I'm trying to think about, because we talked about things the other day. So you guys have special licenses for driving large, heavier trucks.
Yeah.
That are all in one axle, which for those of you watching from the States would be similar to like our CDL, like a commercial driver's license. Now they do a similar task a little differently. In our CDL drivers, we would just have a notebook that would have a lot of pages, but you guys keep these on discs.
Well, My dad can explain this one because this one caused a lot of comments in the YouTube section. So
Okay.
Because it's an older wagon, it's on a taco disc, a piece of paper.
Mhm.
But now they've brought it out, so you've got a credit card size. So you put the credit card in but because that wagon's already fitted with a taco disc, we still have to use the taco disc.
Yeah.
When I buy another wagon, most probably it'll have the card, and then I'll have to do both systems, which is going to be complicated. So I might have to change the older wagon to the card system.
Yeah.
At the minute, it's all handwritten.
Yeah.
Old school.
We're actually kind of in the same space in that technology, in that we do have electronic driver logs, which is what you're talking about. So, but a lot of guys in older trucks, to upgrade a truck to the electronic logs is expensive.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys in the construction, at least, that are driving older trucks that don't have the electronic logs. So they just keep reams of these notebooks where, each day is its own, and you track your hours and all that. But it was neat to see that the disc, because same task, a little bit better execution on that task.
that one, obviously, that you have to
Your name, where you're going, the date, the mileage, and then when you get back into the yard, you put the mileage on it, and then you file it. You keep 14 days with you at all times. So that's the first job. So I'll get this filled out, and then we'll tell you the second job. All right, it's filled out. All you do, put it in there. Close that drawer. That's your taco. While the taco's in there, your next job is your vehicle checkbook. So you check for oil leaks, reflectors, your steering, your horn, your hazards, your suspension, your mirrors, make sure the washers are working, your tyres, go around, check your tyres, obviously brakes, make sure your battery tray's secure. Anything which you think is unsafe, you check, double check. Make sure the windscreen wipers are in perfect working order. I drive this wagon every day, so certain stuff I know is working, but certain stuff, if I park it up at night and I haven't used it for a day, like today, I go around it and make sure no one's done anything. No one's smashed the back lights by moving it. Accidental, could have been accidental, but no one smashed them back lights. Because if I get pulled by VOSA or the police, it's down to me. And I would have filled this vehicle checkbook in and lied. So I always check round, get a good check. It could be a leaf spring snapped. I've had that before. Leaf spring snapped. I've gone around and checked, not even realised till the next day it snapped on me. And the vehicle's had to go off and get repaired because you can't use it. So this is dead important. We fill this out every single day. So I'm going to fill this out now and then we're on our way. Right, that's filled in. Now we're ready to start the day. First job, 6 ton of loose limestone, just around the corner in Baseford to Lucas Gardens. Let's be on our way.
So this is another thing that, like, from an American's perspective, is a little bit mind-bending, watching you guys drive on the left rather than the right. Let me ask, so I don't see it here. What are the zigzag lines on the road?
If there's zigzags on the lines, it basically means you can't stop there. I think we've just gone past a school, so there's normally zigzag lines outside of a school.
That's probably where I saw it, yeah.
Obviously, then it says keep clear on the road there. That's obviously obvious, so that traffic on the left can actually still keep coming out, because the road that it's on now, there's a train stop a little bit further down the line, and traffic backs up quite a lot up there. Obviously, when the crossings come down, that bit pretty much there that you've paused on is for cars to actually still skip around the traffic or go in the opposite way.
Yeah, so you don't stop in there. You let cars
block everyone off, and then you just cause chaos for no reason, for being impatient and thinking you're getting further in one car further. So.
Yeah, getting one car closer. Yeah. Okay.
So straightforward tip. Pull this lever down, lift the grab right up in the air. Here's the lads from Lucas. Pull that. Flip the valve over. Pull this up.
So this would be something. This function would be similar to what we'd call, like a dump truck, just similar to a dump truck. But we haven't seen the best part yet.
Sits on the floor. Flick the lever back. Drops that down. Turn your valve. Shut the door.
No.
Safety catch in. Pull this lever. Bring the grab down.
There it is. So we'll watch how it actually works here in a little bit. But guys, this articulating arm with a shovel scoop on it, phenomenal. Like, these vehicles are. I understand, Dave and Stevie, that this is your everyday normal.
100%. You see hundreds of these on the road every day.
It makes so much sense. It does. So now my mind's thinking like, well, if no one else has these,
Yeah,
we need to bring these in. Like, we need to introduce the states to these.
That's our first tip done. One happy customer. Right, next destination.
Oh yeah, that's a
You
good
on
one.
this job. It is a muckaway. We'll start with a muckaway. It's Arnold, so not too far away. There's the next one.
Now we'll see it in action.
Bit of hardcore in it. It's, this is our good friends at D&J Landscapes. So we'll get this on and go on our way.
Guys, that is amazing. Like, from someone with zero knowledge of one of these vehicles, it makes so much sense. And I can't understand why we don't have these grab vehicles here.
We can't, honestly.
Okay, it gets better. Let me see. There's a pickup with bags, I believe.
I see that's all loaded up. GJ did a splendid job again. Put it on the boards. You see by the time I had to clean it up. So next time you see me, we'll be tipping off. Right, that's all tipped off. Now we've got 5 ton of pea gravel to pick up. 1 ton we'll have to bag up back at the yard, and 4 ton straight drop on the floor. See you soon, guys.
All right. So this is also mind-blowing. So I'm sorry. So what are the bags themselves called, guys?
Ton bags.
Bags.
Or bolt bags. Bolt bags.
So that was one thing I noticed. So you guys pretty much know if it fits in this bag, it's roughly a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes so much sense.
See about a little video. We took a ton off.
All right. Macy's got a question. Macy, what's your question?
So how long?
Come.
So how long does this usually take to put like the gravel and stuff inside the bags?
Oh, okay. About how long does it take to fill a bag?
few minutes,
Yeah, minutes.
just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Because they take the big scoop and they drop it in the funnel.
It all depends how fast the operator is on the machine. If it's my dad, a few minutes. If it's me, probably 5 minutes. But I'm still learning. So.
Oh, of course. Well, so let's talk about that. So, Stevie, you're in the process of getting your HGV. Is that right?
Yeah, HGV license. Yeah.
HGV license. What's that process like? So, walk us through what the process is like to be able to drive one of these vehicles.
Oh. Well,
It's long.
it's not a 2-second thing. You're not just going to get it overnight, that's for sure. Basically, what you need, well, you don't need this part of the aspect of it, but you need your mum and dad to pay for it for your birthday. That's
critical part.
That's a starter. But let's say you're going to pay for it yourselves. Then basically, what you do, you have to get a medical from a doctor. They have to see fit that you are able to drive the designated vehicle that you're going after. So eyesight test, check your blood pressure, make sure that you're not taking any medication as such that keeps you awake if you're prone to falling asleep at the wheel. Obviously, general stuff that sounds pretty simple and that you shouldn't be driving that sort of lorry anyway.
Sure.
And then you have to go for it's called a theory test, where basically it's on the computer. There's 100 questions and you have to get 80 questions right. Otherwise, you can't go any further to driving that lorry. You have to pass 80 questions. It's all to do with the lorry, how random ones as well. Maybe stuff like how to stop illegal immigrants from entering your wagon. Because obviously, you guys travel all around in just on one country as such. Obviously, all your different states, you just obviously cross the borders into those different states. Obviously, being in England, in Europe, we have to travel across the sea sometimes, obviously, and immigration is a big thing for us. Obviously, with you guys in Mexico as well, stopping people from crossing over.
Yep.
Obviously, legally anyway. I'm not
Sure.
going to punish people over, of course. But and then obviously, so you do the theory, and then there's a second part to that theory. It's a bit of classwork stuff, and then next week, I've got to basically walk around a wagon with an instructor. He will ask me a certain amount of questions, and I've just basically got to tell him what he wants to know about the wagon, how much tyre tread am I allowed to have. And then at the end of the month, there'll be 4 days worth of driver training, followed by a 5th day of a test to drive that wagon. And then if I pass, wicked, I can drive the grab from the next day. If I can't and I don't pass, then we just get booked in again to do the test. But all of the theory stuff, like passing the questions, I don't have to retake that again. That's 2 years. 2 years. It lasts for 2 years. So I've just got to pass the physical driving test within 2 years. If I don't, I've got to do the theory test again, as in on the computer. And so it's quite a long process. And with a lot of people doing driving tests, as in cars nowadays in England, it sort of holds it up as well, because you can't just get a test next week, a week after. We're talking months in advance. You have to get these things booked in.
Interesting.
So it's quite a long period.
Once you pass, because we're just going to assume pass first time, because
positive mindset only. That's all we're after.
Right, first time only. How long is that license good for? How often do you have to renew?
Oh, that's a good question. But as far as I know, it's
when you.
I think it's.
Is it 50? You have to take a medical again.
I think it's when you hit a certain age, rather than the number of how long you've had the test.
I think. Okay. I might stand corrected. I probably will be corrected.
Sure.
I think when you're 50, I think you have to start having a medical every couple of years. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I'm not there yet. I'm coming close. Probably when I get there, I'll be able to tell you more, Joe. But at the minute,
sure.
We'll go for 50.
maybe someone watching that may know the answer to that. But I'm not. I'm just going to concentrate on trying to pass first before I'm worried about.
Right. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah.
Got to pass first. You said, sorry, so that test is in a month's time?
So almost pretty much a month's time. June the 28th is when I start the week's long driving.
Okay.
No pressure, like my dad says, because he's ready to get in that office.
Ready for you to take over the grab.
That's it. Well, to be fair, like my dad's mentioned anyway, we don't know when, but chances are we're probably going to get a second grab, a bigger version.
Sure.
Obviously, we call our grab now Big Red, but we're going to have to get Big Red.
Bigger red. Very good. Let's continue on here.
I'll put that in a bag. Now the rest is loose, and that's going to Bulwell. Bulwell bound. Let's go. That's that 5-ton tipped. Now on to the next one. Something a little bit different. The wood run. More waste wood on that. Let's try and get this on. Fuel stop.
Money.
First one of the week. We'll see how much we put in this week. So that's fueled up, 99 litres, 129 quid. I could run in and get him to start the pump again, but just ain't got time again today.
So 99 litres
later. So let's get this tipped off this wood.
3 gallons.
Try and squeeze another one in before my dentist.
Gallon.
So then here we are, waiting to tip off in a bit of a queue. We've waited off, and we're just waiting for the orders to go and tip off. This load will have to be grabbed off because the back door doesn't open the right way. So I'll pull up to the side heap and I'll grab it off, and then we're on our way. So then we've got that all tipped off. That's a muck away grab. I rang Bernie in the office, see which one wants it done first. Yeah. So we'll head over there. We'll get out of here first, then we'll give Bernie a ring. All right, we spoke to Bernie in the office. We're going to Louis now to grab Louis first. And then we're straight over the other side of Nottingham to tip it off. And hopefully I'll get to the dentist.
See, this makes so much sense. So our process would be, if we had this load of dirt that we needed to move off, we would have to have a second piece of machinery there.
Yeah.
To have a skid steer, but I'm not sure what a skid steer would be called.
We've got skid steers.
Okay. Sorry. So we had to have a skid steer to then load that into the truck. But it wouldn't be an excavator. No, it'd be a skid steer. So we take a skid steer to then load it, but then we'd have to have a way. Either we'd have to bring the skid steer with us in a trailer behind the truck or a separate vehicle. So you've got your equipment built in here. I mean, it is, and you can lift the bags with it, right? Yeah. We've seen that. If you're a pro like David, you can just pick them up, drop them in.
Joe, sorry to butt in, but there's also another video that utilizes the grab in a totally different aspect of it, where we're actually taking out conifer trees using the clamp on the grab.
Which
is a good one. Obviously, not to show them. It's the
out with the old in with the new.
Out with the old in with the new. A little bit further down, I think.
Yeah.
In the middle, next to the £1,000 giveaway. Yeah.
Yeah,
and this also helps a lot as well.
Gotcha.
For me, it is Saturday. For you guys, it is.
Let's talk about this real quick. So you guys work Saturdays.
Yeah.
Is it a full crew work Saturdays, or is it a lighter crew?
No, it's a lighter crew.
Okay.
It's definitely lighter.
Gotcha.
I think it's more due to the fact of what we was going back to earlier, that if we was just doing the install aspect of it ourselves, we'd probably have it off. But because we supply to a lot of traders, traders need to pick stuff up. So we need to be open for that Saturday.
That makes sense. I like that a lot. So, there's I don't know. There's a lot of companies that would simply be Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Right? So Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, that sort of thing. 40 hours is it. I like to, I don't want to generalize that, but yeah. but then we see guys out there working, putting it in and working.
That 40-week part-time.
Yeah, it's half time. Come on, guys.
Wednesday, so welcome to Wednesday's video. We appreciate you being here. If you are here and you're watching, don't forget to like that video, subscribe if you're new around here, and share with all your friends if you can. If not, it's a pleasure having you here anyway. So today we are on a fencing job. We've got to rip out some conifers and then replace it with a 6-foot total fencing.
So sorry to keep stopping this, but for a guy here in the States, from American, your guys' architecture is so nice as well.
Yeah,
so you see, is it a church steeple there behind you?
Gotcha.
The architecture is so nice.
Some.
Well,
what we want you to see.
fair. That's fair.
But using 4-foot panels and 2-foot trellis. So it's going to look quite nice. It's only roughly around about 4 bays. So I'm just getting the materials on the van now, just getting some tools on there as well. And so that's the plan for today, guys. I hope you're going to enjoy the video, as always. I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone that's been showing us support on the YouTube videos. We're smashing it right now, and we really do appreciate it. Subscribers are flying up, likes are always there, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you to anyone that has been watching. And I'll see you guys a little bit later. I'm sure we'll introduce my dad into the video as well. See you guys soon. So then, guys, just before we go to that job, I'm making the trellises that we're going to need for that job, and my dad and Andrew are off there now to start taking out the conifer. I'm sure my dad will film a little bit. Hope so, because I'm about to transition it.
Good morning, YouTube. How are we on a Saturday morning? It's been a busy morning. This is the first chance I've had time to video. As you can see, I've got my co-pilot here. Andrew has come along to give us a hand. Because me and Stevie's got some conifers to take out, and I believe it's 4 bays. Gonna be nice ones, a bit of trellis on top on this one. So next time you see us, we'll be on site where I'll show you the conifers. As you can see, guys, we've arrived on site, and this is the hedge we are taking out. Well, it's conifer and ivy. So,
That's what I'm.
just taking that bit.
So, guys, just to pause real quick again. Is this what? So, lower right-hand corner, that fence, is that a Palisades fence? Or what would you call that?
Metal fencing.
Yeah, metal fencing.
Okay. So those of you at home, that we were trying to understand each other on what we call different types of fencing. Understood?
Yeah.
So metal.
Out there. Right down to there. I think what we plan to do, we plan to put a post up against the wall, purely reason because the footing there and there's a cable there and everything else. We don't want to touch that. There is a video on that. It'll be in my top right-hand corner now, if you want to watch that, where we've done that before. So let's crack on, guys.
Yeah.
As you've seen, guys, we don't mess around here at D&J Projects. We get in and we get out when we can. Not expensive in no time.
Yeah.
As you can see, guys, we're struggling on this little one here, look. We don't take that wall down.
So let me ask, guys, do you guys have utility locators, folks that come out and they'll paint where the utilities are?
No, we've got CAT scanners, like we can scan. We've got one of them ourselves, but
Gotcha.
this utility here, they're prone for laying it just underneath the grass.
Yeah.
So it's never at depth.
Yeah.
So you guarantee that can be anywhere from a foot down to 1 inch.
Doing it, yeah.
Sometimes with leaves. It can just be covered with leaves.
So we have an internet provider here, at least in our area, that is on new home builds. What they'll do, so before they'll come in, they'll lay the cabling before the sod. If they know sod's going in, then they'll just lay it on the ground and they'll put the sod over it.
Yeah.
And then in 2 years, 3 years time, you start seeing it pop up.
Yeah.
It's so what our process is. So legally, we have to notify a utility locator, and I want to say it's 3 working days before you dig, and they'll come out and they'll mark with paint and flags. If you don't do that and you hit one of these lines, you're liable for all the damages, which, it typically starts at a couple $1,000s, and then just goes up from there. But if they come out and they mark it with the paint and the flags, and you're outside of their boundary, they'll have 2-foot boundary on either side. So it's more of an educated guess than anything. But if you're outside of that and you damage the line, then you're not liable for the damages. Yeah. But I could see it being quicker with your guys' process, having the scanner, there yourselves. All right.
Been a bit of a bleeder. But we will not be defeated. We'll get this out. Right then, guys, quick update. Holes dug. You can see we're really careful here. We've got diamond cable, NTL, what they call themselves now. No coverage on that again. And then this was like laid on top. This is the same. They just love them guys who put diamond cable and tell it. Okay? No warning tape, nothing. And then it'd be our fault if we go through it. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to take this back to the yard, take this off, and then I'm going to workshop to pick some slabs up for Hannah and Dean, and then we'll drop them off later. See you soon. Literally, I've got about a 40-minute drive to pick these slabs up for Hannah and Dean. So hopefully by the time I get back, Stevie should have done that fencing, and then we'll plan on what we're doing next, depending on what time it is. So the next time we see me, I will be picking the slabs up, guys. I'm not too sure what you guys last saw, but we're pretty much ready to start putting this fence up. I've just shot back to the yard to pick up some different panels. There's a slight change to the design of the fencing. So we're going to start cracking on and making some progress. First 2 bays in, guys.
Yeah, so Stevie, I'm glad you turned me to this video, because this is really I wanted to watch at least one video of the concrete post with the gravel board, the whole thing. So Macy's first impression was, wow. Guys, as a fence guy, this makes so much sense. So the posts are made out of concrete with rebar enforcement or steel rod enforcement. The gravel boards are concrete as well. Do the gravel boards have the steel reinforcement?
Yeah.
Very good. And then, so those of you watching from the States, this looks kind of similar to what you'd see in the South, except for that bottom gravel board would be a treated pine, like a kickboard, right?
Yeah.
With the understanding or the reasoning being, you would want to protect your nice fence from rot and all that. So you'd put that barrier. Well, what prevents rot better than concrete, right? So you've got concrete. Now, Stevie and David, you call them gravel boards. Is it because landscaping is typically installed against that?
That's a good question.
I think that's just what we call it. Obviously,
Okay.
basically, you can see on that picture there, where it's obviously paused. You see on the first one on the left is that tiny little. You can sort of see underneath it.
Yeah.
That's because that driveway sort of drops down, and what the customer was going to do was use like a gravel against that. So then put that against that gravel board.
Yep.
But that's not necessarily the reason why we call those gravel boards as such. Okay. It's just, I think that's just what it has been for a long time. Like my dad just said, sometimes they're called plinths as well, concrete plinths.
Okay. Yeah, that was just my guess at it.
What they're called as gravel. If you mention a gravel board to someone in the UK, they typically are going to know what that means.
They'll know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And obviously with this fencing, obviously you can see that it's the concrete, there's a panel, and then there's a trellis on top.
Yeah.
It's not often that actually happens. Definitely not on the front anyway.
Okay.
So obviously, again, this customer wanted it, so that's what we provided.
Yeah.
Normally, it would just be a full-size panel there.
Gotcha. Just a full height, 6 foot. Well, it'd be a 5 foot panel on a 1 foot gravel board. Nice. So, guys, the way this works is these posts are, I mean, they're an H post, right? If you're looking from the top down, it's an H. And the paneling and the trellis slides right in that channel.
Yeah.
Which means the replacement of these panels is incredibly easy.
Yeah.
They simply slide up. Best case scenario, as long as the posts haven't moved or anything like that, they simply slide up and the new ones slide right back down.
Obviously, on a security aspect of that as well, obviously, there may be some people thinking that you could just easily take those out. And obviously, someone that's paid for brand new fencing could have their panels and trellis taken out. But obviously, we provide fence clips as well that screw in to the concrete and as a security measure, obviously stop people from just doing that. Obviously, all depends on where you live as well. Obviously, not everyone is walking around pinching fence panels. But, there is a measure to make that not happen as well. Just for anyone that is probably thinking that's an easier way to take the panels, we can stop that.
Yeah, well, and you'd think it'd make quite a bit of noise taking one of those things off and making off with it, maybe.
Yeah, because obviously when we install the fence, we're not installing it so it's loose that it can just fly straight out. It's not going to be banging in the wind. It is stiff in there. It is hard, but with a bit of force, but like I say, making a lot of noise, it can come out. But there are measures to make it so it doesn't come out as easy.
Sure. And we were talking the other day about how you guys go along building this. You build it by sections as you go. Right. Well, so the panels in the gravel board are pre-built, but you would set your first post, insert the gravel board and panel, and then you would know exactly where the next post goes.
Yeah.
That would tell you. Excellent. Very good. Now, the post, you're securing the post with concrete in the ground? Yep. Okay. I'm going to bring you guys into a debate, a very strong debate here in the States. The concrete in these holes. Do you mix it wet and pour it in, or does it go in dry and you pour water on top?
Right. We put water in the bottom
of
the hole, pour the post fix into the hole, and then we put water on top.
Agreed.
So the water at the bottom travels up, and the water on top travels down.
Yeah,
and you aggravate it. You stab it about and mix it up.
Yeah,
and any moisture it needs also, then it can also pull from the ground.
It pulls from the ground, yeah.
We've done it before where we've put the dry mix in as it is, left it just for a little bit for whatever reason we're doing. And then we've come back to it 5-10 minutes later, and you can tell that it sucked all of the moisture out of the soil that was there or out of the ground. It's obviously setting itself.
Yeah.
Obviously, the putting helps.
Right. Well, it doesn't hurt. Right. It gives it extra moisture. Well, let me tell you, this debate right now here in the States is all fence people are talking about is how do you set your concrete? And again, to each their own, right? If it's worked for you for many years, then that's the best solution. But the problem is when then you go tell someone else they're wrong for doing it their way. Well, I'll share my experience and I'll tell you it's worked for me, but just because you do it differently doesn't mean you're wrong or doesn't mean I'm wrong. Just means it's different. But let me tell you, that's the debate right now is how you mix the concrete. Guys, let's do this. Let's catch up on some comments because we're getting a little bit behind. I want to make sure everyone gets their hello. Cecilio Fuentes from Lubbock, Texas. Hello.
Lubbock, Texas. Never heard that.
Yeah, Lubbock. Oh, yeah, so Lubbock, Texas is in a lot of country western songs. Going to Lubbock. Well, Macy asked, it is. So maybe the older country western songs talk about Lubbock, Texas. Ben Kirby says, hello from Portsmouth. Dave and Stevie are serious. Did I say that right? Portsmouth?
Yeah.
Portsmouth,
Okay. I've seen that one in a few movies, so that one I know. This is a good question. Chelsea would like to know, do you have any other kids other than Stevie?
Yeah, that's my daughter.
Okay. Not to say anything bad. We just always see Stevie, and we just want to know.
Yeah. There's Chelsea there, yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is Chelsea.
Yeah, to be fair, she will be
Okay.
joining the company soon. She will
Okay.
be-
So she's asking her own question.
Yeah, she's getting her own little bit of fame there, I think.
Oh, that's even better. Total Gardens. Once Stevie is done his HGV, is there going to be a bigger? Oh, okay. They've already a bigger grab.
Yeah,
Mighty
yeah.
Red. This is a good name, Mighty
Yeah,
Red.
Mighty Red, I like that.
Mighty Red.
Yeah.
It would definitely be painted red, we're thinking anyway, because it's happening quite a bit now. When we're driving up and down the roads and all over the places, the amount of people that are hanging out of their windows and their cars, that beeping us and hooting us, it's unreal. And we think it's to do with the fact that you can see it from a mile away because it's that big, bright red truck in the distance.
Yes. Yeah. So we talk about that a lot, is color branding.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, so we're color branded orange. Everything we do here is orange. We just got a truck rewrapped orange chrome.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is mint.
I bet it does look good.
It on a sunny day, it blinds you driving down the street.
It sounds pricey, but it sounds very good at the same time.
It actually, that's what I thought too. Actually, not much more than a regular wrap. So it not horrible. The other trucks we have, anyway, they're all orange. And the feedback we get is like, your guys' trucks are everywhere. I see them all over town. It's like, well, to be fair, like everyone's trucks are everywhere.
Yeah.
But you notice ours because they stick out.
It's a
They're
standard
bright.
aspect, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of one of those things too, to where once you buy a red car, you see red cars, because you're looking for them, sort of thing too, which is exactly what you want. You want people looking for big red.
Yeah.
I like it. Oh, we are all about orange. Like it's like,
our
boom.
family color.
Well, come here. If you're going to talk, you need to be on camera.
Our family color is orange.
Yes, that is true.
And like me and mom, we have a debate about the family color.
Yeah, they like to tell me the family color is not orange, but
It's not.
we voted, and when I say we voted, I voted that orange it is. Orange everything.
Sergeant Major said orange.
That's right, That's right, Mace Pearl. Sergeant Major says it's orange.
Yeah.
I'm not the sergeant major though at the house. No, I get to be sergeant major here at the office, but not the house. But yeah, but that's a real thing though. I mean, when we're talking about color branding, people are looking for big red out there in the community.
Yeah.
But I think it's right. When you get bigger red or mighty red.
Mighty Red, I like that though. I do like that. Mighty Red.
Yeah, that is a good name. What's that?
You know what I'm surprised about?
If you're gonna talk, you need to be on camera.
Is that it's nothing in your room is orange.
Nothing in my
Or yours in mom's room is orange.
in the bedroom. Well,
Yeah.
that's because I'm not in charge. All right. Fun story here. I'm not allowed to make any sort of decorating decisions in the house because
It's gonna be orange.
it will be orange. And here's a funny story. So right after we moved into the house, the tree out front died. And we live in a neighborhood that has a homeowners association, a council for the neighborhood. And in the rules are you have to have a tree in your front yard and it has to meet these certain specifications. Okay, fair enough. And my wife says, do you know somebody that does trees? Can you have a tree put in? I said, yeah, I know a guy that does trees. So I messaged him and I said, hey, I need a tree. These are the specifications. Can you get it in for me? He says, yeah, no problem. I said, okay. He says, what color do you want it to be? I was like, well, green. I mean, I think they're all green, right? He says, yeah. But in the fall, what color do you want? I said, is blaze orange an option? He says, yes, it is. That's the one I want. And we put it in the spring. So it's green and everything. And all summer it's green. It's getting big. I fertilized that thing like crazy, make it grow. Then that fall, every day coming home, So when I leave, it's dark, so I don't get to see the tree. So, but when I'm coming home, it's still light. So I turn the corner and I look. Nope, not yet. Next day, turn the corner, look. Nope, not yet. Then one glorious day, I turn the corner and this thing is on fire. Like it is just orange. I walk in the house and my first thing my wife says to me, not how was your day, not how are you, the tree. I said, what do you mean? What's wrong with the tree? She says, you know what's wrong with that tree. It's orange. Like, well, yeah, but the neighbors, I saw 2 neighbors on my way in. They think it's hilarious. They love it. So to say, I'm not allowed to make any decisions at the house anymore. They all have to go through her. But yeah, everything needs. My opinion is everything's orange. But anyway, big long story about color branding is real.
Yeah.
All right, so the British Army Hellcat 324 says, "Hi, D." There you go. Daniel Moore says, "Hi from North Wales. How are the Swans?"
Doing well, it seems.
Yeah.
They're on the mend again. It's they should be having signets, we would think, very soon, but time will tell.
Very good. Oh, the British Army says, "Hi, D&J." So the first one was cut off. Michael says, "I replace fences to match existing orientation. I think in feet and inches, but only use metric." All right. Very good. And that's a good point to where if you're replacing a fence, if we're talking about orientation, if you're replacing a fence, typically you match the orientation. The new matches the old.
Yeah, sometimes we do that, but then at the same time, we'll ask the question as well. If the customer, obviously, we get what you're saying. Sometimes, say with the fence panels on screen now, they're facing that way, but it may be the neighbor that has to replace them in 20 years' time. So we do ask the question if the conversation between both neighbors has happened and what side the preference of the panel should be put. But a lot of the time is the person that was paying. It's normally their boundary and they're replacing it for them.
Sure.
Or if they're paying, they just tend to have the better side. It's not too much.
You pay, get say.
Yeah, that's it. But it's, I guess it is up to them at the end of the day.
Sure.
For us anyway. I
agree. Now, guys, so some of the questions I'll put up here, and if we don't want to, I don't want to get anyone in uncomfortable conversations. Mm-hmm. So, can the company get punishment for building a fence higher than the 6-foot council regulation?
I think it's down to the homeowner. Yeah, they have to get the
like a planning permission.
Yeah, planning permission. They're the ones that have to get the planning permission. So it's a grey area. I would have thought the company won't, because it was down to the homeowner to employ the company to put it up, and it's down to the homeowner to make sure to put all the stuff in place.
Agree.
And certain aspects of the garden, if someone's garden is lower than their neighbours, sometimes you need to put a slightly higher fencing up.
Sure.
Or if it's the opposite way around, you might need to put a lower fencing up. It's more frowned upon if it's on the front or the back. If you're going from 6 foot to 7 foot and it's on the back, not a lot is really said. Not saying that it's right, but not a lot is. It's not frowned upon as much if you put a 7-foot fence on the front of your garden when everywhere you look round it's 4 foot. There's probably going to be questions asked. So I'd say it's more so to do with the location rather than a discrepancy in the foot or the inches.
Yeah, and we're much the same way. You know, a fencing contractor here builds at the homeowner's direction. Right? The owner's going to tell them how they want the fence built, where they want it built, that sort of thing. Now, we can certainly give opinions, right? Yeah. Did you think about this, or that sort of thing? But ultimately, at the end of the day, we are contracting for them.
Yeah.
Same here.
Kyle Thomas says, "Hi, D&J from Wales."
Hi.
Hello, Kyle Thomas.
Ian Burgess says, I always understood that the fence posts always go on the owner's side, as that shows who is responsible for it. But these days, the posts seem to be in between the panels, so either way would be okay.
So that goes back to the that's the concrete style there, where the posts are sort of in the middle of the boundary and in the middle of the fence panels and the trellis that you can see there.
Yeah.
But going back to your guys' typical fencing, which we call camp rail, where your posts are in one set and your smooth boards are on sort of in front of those posts.
Sure.
Again, that for us anyway, that goes down to the customer's preference. And if the customer is paying and not the neighbor, then we typically tend to give the customer the smooth side of the fence panel, unless stated otherwise by them, and they're going to give the neighbor the and then so the customer basically see the rails and the posts. But obviously, like you've seen on concrete, like they're in the middle, but you would still see the rails on the panel on the opposite side.
Sure. Yeah, so we're seeing the finished side here.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and I'm not sure where Ian's from, here in the States, now this was a while, this is when my granddad built fence, which side the structure on did denote ownership. This was before surveys really established very clearly the boundary lines. So typically a fence would be put on the boundary line, and then the structure would be put facing the owner 100% of the time. And so that denoted ownership. Now, obviously that's changed, right? So currently with surveyors having much more accurate, tools, and boundary lines having survey pins to clearly denote property boundaries, that's not so much of a clear-cut answer anymore. But if we're looking at here in the States, if we're looking at a fence that's 30 or 40 years old, the structure typically does tell us the ownership of the fence.
Yeah.
But if this were, neighbors being neighbors, if something like this went to court, really what the judge would ask for would be where is the property line? Because that's all the judge cares about. I don't care which side the fence faces. Where is it in relation to the property boundary line? The property line. Is it inside? So if Dave and Stevie, if your house was next to my house and I built a fence on my property, but I faced a structure to you guys, well, currently, and if we went to the court and the judge is just going to ask, well, where's the fence on in relation to the property line? If it's on my property, then it doesn't matter which way the structure faces. It's my fence, and vice versa, So I don't know where we're going with that, but that's kind of how things are here in the States. God says, you reap what you sow. Being kind, Dave, is spot on. Your success and growth is deserved.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
That in contracting and trades and with everything in life, but relationships are so important.
Yeah.
You could find yourself calling back on a relationship that was 20 years old, and if you didn't leave that relationship in good repair when you left, you might not be in a good spot.
And the aspect of word of mouth, someone passing on your business, just obviously you can read all the reviews you want on Google, but someone then saying something, I had these guys do this and they did an amazing job. It goes a long way. It does go a long way. Yeah. And that goes back to being kind, having a nice smile, and just being friendly with the customer goes a long way.
That's right. Now, they meant D&J, I feel sure. G and J are right next to each other on the keyboard. Watching D&J Projects has motivated me to do some DIY in my own garden. They are legends.
No, that's wicked.
Agreed.
We can help. We will help. Obviously, we do some do-it-yourself videos. So if we can show people just tips and tricks and sort of stuff that we do, and if it's helping, it's a bonus. It is a bonus. It's intended for that use.
Absolutely. Let's bring this back in here. All right. Marcio Machado, under construction, says, great guys, watching from Azores, Portugal. Very good.
Yeah. We might be going to Portugal soon. It's the only place we're allowed to go on holiday. So we may see you there.
I have heard great things about the Azores. Phenomenal thing. So I watch sailing YouTube channels. I don't sail. I don't own a sailboat, but I like watching sailing videos.
We've got videos like that as well, so don't worry.
Yeah, I live vicariously through these videos. But the Azores are beautiful for sure. Lane Jesse says in Oregon we use an EDL on our smartphones. Okay, so the electronic driver log. So it sounds like I'm behind in the technology game. It used to be a terminal that was installed in the vehicle, in the tractor. Now it looks like it's all on the smartphones. So
we got that.
Good to know.
I don't know if we've got that ourselves, but
that's the first that I've heard of it. And it might depend on the tonnage of the vehicle too.
Yeah.
It might be that something light commercial can do that, but something heavy commercial like a transportation semi-trailer, what you would call an articulated trailer. Is that right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That would need one of the more permanent installations. I don't know. Ryan Shane Armstrong says, late to the show, what's the topic? Well, the topic is D&J Projects are legends, and I get to talk to them, and I get to ask them a few questions. That's basically the show. And my daughter Macy is slightly off camera. She's about half on, half off right now, and she's just making comments from the sidelines. So that's today. So this kind of question is probably best asked to the office.
Needs to ring the office. Yeah, definitely.
Ryan says Muckaway is also what it's called in Newcastle. United is on the road.
Yeah. We actually call it that as well, Muckaway.
That's why the Grab's got DJ02 Muck.
Yeah. The pride.
Very good. So I'm not familiar. Newcastle United, soccer or football?
Well, it's definitely football, but
yeah. As soon as I said soccer, I was like, nope, that's not the right word. It's football.
It's kicked with the foot, so it's definitely football. The stuff you guys call football with the hands is.
I get it. It's more similar. Well, I would say more similar to rugby, maybe, but that's not even. I don't know.
No, because you guys have to have too much protection on. So.
Yeah. So they would call it American football, right? Is what you call it.
NFL,
yeah. So, all right, I'm not super familiar with you guys can tell me if comments are inappropriate, and we will just zip it right out of here because I don't. All right, this one says there's a vaccine for HGV now, gents. Okay. Okay, I thought maybe it was a
HGVs.
Oh yeah.
We'll just pass by that one. Hi, John Hippie. Peter says. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
King Fozzie says hi. Hello, King Fozzie. Maybe the first king we've had on here, if Fozzie is a real king. Tom Dawson says hi from the United Kingdom. Very good, very good. Ah, here we go. David McCarthy says hello from Ireland.
Hello.
That one of the Irish followers actually won the subscriber money that we gave away. So
yeah, very good, very good.
And my mum, so Mrs. D&J is part Irish as well, so that's always a bonus.
Very good, very good. LS says, up lads, just down the road in Bestwood. How do you know how many tons you're grabbing when the soil sand it's loose? Good question.
You mean?
Well, so it probably means like if you're grabbing dirt from someone, like when you're doing a pickup, how many tons do you know is there?
It's down to experience.
And a weigh bridge, obviously, where you're tipping it off. There's typically a weigh bridge, so you do get an exact printout. You can normally sort of tell if your van gets full, you know you're at your capacity.
Sure.
You obviously, from my dad's experience, not myself just yet, but my dad's going to know when that van's pushing its limit and when to stop. But if we're loading the van ourselves using the JCB tele truck, then that's got weights on it anyway. So you already know how much that's going to be because it's got the weights to tell you how much is going on that truck.
Gotcha. And you probably, David, you probably have an idea by the scoop how much a typical scoop of standard dirt weighs.
We fill the ton bags with the telly truck, and we know how much a ton is on the bag. So we know how many scoops it takes to fill the ton bag. So you get an idea. I mean, new wagons now, they've got scales on them. So, some of the new wagons are already built in with scales.
Okay.
So probably might do the next one, might have scales. Who knows?
Interesting. Very good. So is that for like a regulation, for a road regulation, you can only weigh so much?
Yeah. So if you get caught being overweight, it's driver's responsibility. And then if it's over a certain weight, it's company's responsibility.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can get fines and points. Yeah, get yourself into a lot of trouble.
Gotcha. So it's important to know.
Yeah.
What you're bringing on.
Good question.
Yeah. Harvey Singh says, hi. Hello, Harvey. This is a great question. I'm glad we're getting to it. Yes. What made you start making YouTube videos, and is it worth doing?
Right. So it's obviously a two-part question, basically. Yeah. The whole sole purpose of me and my dad doing this YouTube stuff, basically, was one, we watch a hell of a lot of YouTube. So we don't really watch normal TV. So cable TV, the soaps that are on, we don't watch that sort of stuff. We watch a lot of YouTube. And the people that we watch in YouTube, a lot of them are sort of doing the same sort of game that we're doing, hard landscaping. There's probably a lot of people that watch Daniel from Asheville. Yeah. I don't know if you know who he is. He's quite big in the UK.
Well, I found him through your channel. You guys referenced him a few times, and I went over and found him. Yeah.
So a lot of us watch him. And then, so we decided basically, let's just give it a go ourselves, but more so to the aspect of, let's look back in 5 years' time and see what we were doing, see where the company's gone, see how far it's progressed, because we're definitely on the plan of progressing. We're not going to regress. We're going to keep on pushing it and see where we were in 5 years' time. And then I don't know what happened, but something blew up, and the subscribers just carried on going up. And obviously, we sort of gained a bit of a fan base in a way. It sounds weird saying a fan base, obviously, it sounds crazy. But there's a lot of people that like what we're doing, and we very much appreciate it. And then coming back to, is it worth doing? Don't get me wrong. We film every single day, and we put it out a video on a Sunday. So we're filming 5 to 6 days every single day, 9-10 hour days, and then trying to find the time as well at the end of the day to edit those clips into a feature long film of say an hour long. So is it worth it? We would say, yeah. And we've not took no money from this. Don't get me wrong. As you know yourself, obviously there's money to be made.
Sure.
But we ain't seen a penny yet. Not to say that it's not coming, but we would like a bit of money, of course. But is it worth doing money-wise? We're not really bothered about the money in that aspect. We're more bothered about the engagement and people putting the comments in and asking questions and enjoying the content rather than doing it for a paycheck at the end, because we make money doing our business. That's how we make money, not through YouTube. But it's definitely worth it in the aspect of making friends, making connections. Like with yourself, we wouldn't be on this show right now without YouTube. So yeah, we'd say it's 100% worth it. Like, we've been really looking forward to this, so we appreciate it. So again, it's definitely worth it.
No, and I think you're spot on, Stevie. When you say, is it worth it? I think the question you need to ask is, why are you doing it? Right? What is a win? And whether we're talking about YouTube or whether we're talking about our business or whatever, this is kind of my latest kick, is defining what is a win. What does winning mean? And to your point, winning isn't necessarily financial in the terms of YouTube.
Yeah.
Now, is there funding that comes in from YouTube? Yes. But when you count how many hours are spent shooting, how many hours are count editing, the pay isn't great.
It's
but like you said, but if you win, if your definition of winning is expanding your network circle, meeting new contractors in another part of the world, yeah. Or if it's just general awareness. We had this conversation the other day that has a YouTube channel positively benefited D&J, and it makes the phone ring.
That's it, 100%, like way more than we expected it to.
Sure.
Because like we always said, we was doing good anyway, but getting the name out there is building the D&J brand more so. Is a big thing for us as well.
Yeah.
And obviously social media is the in thing. Everyone is on social media. Anyone that is big is on social media. So to not follow that route, we're sort of shooting ourselves in the foot there by not experimenting with that revenue and that avenue and trying it out, because how would we ever know if we never tried?
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing too, is it's so easy to try that why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's not that, it used to be to make a video, you had to buy a lot of equipment, you had to hire certain people, it was very expensive to try to make one video.
Yeah.
Now with technology the way it is, it's incredibly, I don't want to say easy. I don't want to make it diminish anything, but it's easier to get into.
Yeah, and we enjoy it as well. Like, you can probably tell from the videos that we make.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy filming. My dad enjoys the filming.
Yeah.
So when you enjoy something, it's a hell of a lot easier to do it.
Yeah.
If you're forcing it upon yourself to try and do it like that, you never stick with it. You don't enjoy it. But when you enjoy it like the way that me and my dad do, then it's definitely worth doing it in that aspect.
Yeah, and Stevie, you had a good point the other day in that there's some days that you just don't want to.
Yeah,
that's real.
100%. Because obviously with YouTube, you guys only ever see what we want you to see. So when you see that it's bubbly and smiling and stuff, it's not always like that. We're all human. It ain't like that. But sometimes you don't want to film, but then you feel like it's crazy because you feel like you don't want to let the people down that are waiting for that Sunday video.
Yeah.
And then trying to think of an idea for the Wednesday video when you've got no time as it is. Like, it is crazy, but it's definitely worth doing it. And it's definitely worth doing it.
Let's talk about a little bit about the family dynamic, because coming from a family dynamic here, I absolutely understand what's involved there, and it piqued my mind when you said that the bubbly stuff makes the air, but it's not always bubbly.
Yeah.
Right. Now you two get along very well. It seems, just on camera.
Yeah.
But I don't think people that aren't in a family dynamic understand like how hard it is. I don't know about hard, but how tricky it can be to make that work well.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because at the same time, it's the business at the same time. There's a family aspect to it, but obviously sometimes you have to separate it. Not to say stop calling, not to say that my dad's never going to be my dad. I'm not going to start calling him Dave like I used to at the beginning of the YouTube videos. I don't know why he's doing that. But obviously we're always going to be family. But at the same time, it is work and it is business, and there is a serious side to it. So when stuff goes wrong, I can't be treated any different from Joe Bloggs, the other staff member.
Yeah.
Because we're all on the same page.
Sure.
I am just an employee at that company as well. So we've all got to be treated the same.
Yeah.
But obviously when something does go wrong at work, and obviously I don't live at home no more anyway, so I can separate from that aspect. But
yeah,
because of YouTube, we're spending a lot of time here editing the videos together. So if something does go wrong and the atmosphere is a bit frosty,
yeah,
you just got to sort of deal with it and just get on and know that we're doing this thing, we're doing YouTube, but at the same time, there is a business to run at the same time for my mum and my dad.
Oh, sure. Well, what we had said the other day was, so when I worked for my dad when I was younger and I also lived at home, things were a little bit trickier because, any disagreements that happened at work, and sometimes disagreements would be putting it lightly. Then we get in our trucks and we've got about a 30-minute drive home, which we're each like thinking about it and stewing on it. And then we get home and we sit down to dinner and mom says, well, how was your guys' day? And it's, well, I'll tell you how today was because, and then the other was like, oh, yeah, well, I've been thinking about this. And that, on and on. And mom's like, boys, no, that's for work. We're like, oh, no, it's not, because I've got something else to say to you. It can be brought home pretty easily.
100%, but it's how you get past it. And
That's right.
you have that conversation. You say what needs to be said. The thing with me and my dad, we're both up front and we just say it how it is, which is probably a good way to be at the same time. Don't hold nothing back, and it is what it is. But it's not holding the grudge at the end of it. Right? I see your point. You see my point. Let's crack on and get done what we need to get done.
That's right. That's right. I think that's an incredible piece of wisdom, Stevie, is that being upfront is always the best tactic, right? Tactic's probably not the right word, but is always the best policy.
Yeah.
Here's what's on my mind. Here's where it's coming from. Here's how I see it in my perception.
Yeah.
Now it's your turn. And then let's hear it from your perception. Let's hear what's going on. And then try to find some middle ground, if there is a middle ground.
Yeah. Sometimes there will be, sometimes there won't be, but
that's right.
How you deal with it.
That's right. So our dynamic here at the office is a little bit different in that, so I bought the business for my dad 2016, so going on 5 years ago now, but he still works here. So he runs our commercial division. So imagine if you could, Stevie, your guys' roles being switched, but not in the family dynamic. Yeah. A little bit trickier, because you had a point the other day to where you would say things to family that you wouldn't say normally to someone here or another team member here, and you expect more, right? For better or worse, there are more expectations when it comes with family than it would be from someone that's just a team member, and I think a lot of frustration can come from that.
Well, my dad probably has got more expectation from me than I have from him.
Well, maybe, but there's there's expectations on both sides, right? Is that just how it is? So what is it? The saying goes something like frustration is the result of unmet expectations. So you both have expectations and sometimes they don't get met.
Too high,
which leads to frustration.
But, to be fair, the way it is now. I think it's good because it's always nice to expect a bit more. Always keep pushing. Basically, don't just settle and get complacent with it. The way that my dad sees it is that we can always do a bit more, and that's not a bad way to see it. Because at the end of the day, we sort of can always do a bit more.
Yeah, right. Well, and I mean, that's the benefit of family, though, right? Is that you can expect more from them that you wouldn't normally expect from a team member, because expecting it from a team member wouldn't be fair. That's not part of the arrangement, sort of thing.
It's not their end goal. We do get that a lot of people they're coming to earn a living, to pay the bills.
Yeah,
but they're not going to see the benefit that what my dad and my mum are going to see from D&J in 10 years' time. Where we get that.
Sure. Yeah, it's going to happen. It has to happen.
It's nice to get home sometimes and have a normal life as well. So,
so I think about that sometimes. How nice would it be to clock off and then just be done until the next morning when you clock back on? That doesn't sound bad, but that's not in the cards, though. If I wanted that, I could go find that somewhere, I'm sure. But it's just not what I enjoy.
To be the best at what you do, the people at the top of the tree, they're not sitting there. They're not waiting for people to make plays. We are making the plays.
Sure. Absolutely.
That's the way we're sitting there.
So one thing I like about your guys' channel, guys, is I get the distinct impression that you're the same people when the camera turns off that when the camera is on.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Again, that goes back to the faking it aspect of it. When
someone's faking.
Yeah, when we're not really about that sort of thing. We are who we are. We are we have this banter between us all the time. It's not just for the camera. When the camera's not rolling, it's probably worse. So we just are who we are, I guess, and I think that is literally the best way to be. We're not trying to fool anyone. We are who we are.
Agreed. Well, and I think, Dave, I think you're right in that people can pick up on that pretty quickly when you're not who you are when the camera's on. When you're not true to yourself. But I think that's one of the big reasons you guys are seeing an incredible amount of success is your channel is just incredibly real. Like it's literally just a snapshot. If I were to be riding in the truck with you guys, that's what the video feels like. I'm just along for the ride.
No, we do appreciate that because that's sort we're trying to be as real as possible.
It's working.
Makes it easier as well. Makes it a lot easier to film.
Yeah, of course, because then you're just filming real life.
Yeah.
You press record. Let's talk about filming for a second, guys. What kind of equipment do you guys use for filming?
Bog standard as it is. We've both got iPhone 12 Pro Maxes, and obviously modern technology now. The cameras are amazing. Yep. The video quality is amazing. We only film in 1080p, 30 frames per second. Just because the amount of filming that we do and the rendering time and the process, it's a little bit faster in that setting.
Yeah.
The phones have got the quality and the ability to do 4K 60 frames a second.
Sure.
But for the stuff that we're filming, it's just day-to-day life.
Yeah.
We can just whip out our phone, record it straight away, and then to be fair, we spent a little bit of money on a MacBook Pro to make that a little bit easier for us. Yeah. And then all we've got to do, for me. Well, all we do is literally just transfer our pictures, our videos from the phone to the laptop. No cables required. Just share it across, airbox it across, and then just use the app on the MacBook to do that. So we don't carry around £5,000 cameras. We don't have anyone following us, filming us. It's just me and my dad filming our day. And it goes back to being real. If you're just real, you don't need that fancy gear all the time. I'm not saying that it wouldn't help. Of course, it'd be amazing if someone could follow us around filming. But at the same time, we're just being ourselves, filming our day.
Yeah.
All you need is you.
Well, and that's what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about, Stevie. In some of the videos, like I see, like as a video guy, like I want to know, like what are these guys using? Because the video is good. The video is really good. So it's like, what are they using? And I'm always trying to figure out a better way of doing things. But in reflections, I can see the reflections of using the phone. These guys get it. And so a lot of the questions I get, or I guess a lot of the conversations I have with people are, well, I can't get started filming my YouTube because I can't afford $1,000 camera. I can't afford this. I said, well, let me see your phone. They pull out their phone. I was like, okay, you got it. You have all the equipment you need right there.
That's it. You don't even need a laptop as such because you can get the editing software on your phone as an app. Like there's someone that we watch on YouTube that puts a video out every single day. And all he does is uses his phone, pretty much the same spec as this, uses the iMovie feature on his iPhone and uploads it every single day. Yeah. And we're still hooked and drawn into that guy because it's not always about what you're filming on. It's the person themselves as well. If it can be the most amazing cinematic video, but if the video is bland and the personality is not showing through, it does not matter if you've got a £10,000 setup or $100 setup. It's just about what you're filming and the person.
Agreed.
Well, I think what we believe anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. It's the story that's important.
Yeah.
The story is a critical piece to this. And if you have a lot of gear, if you have a lot of equipment, you're less likely to catch those moments that you need to catch.
That's it. Can you imagine rolling up to the work site with 5 ton of roadstone, a digger and everything, and then trying to carry around a £5,000 camera when all you need to do is just whip your phone out of your pocket.
Right. When the guys are in the middle of something, you can't really say, oh, okay, stop. Give me a second. Let me go get the camera. Okay, now say what you said again. It doesn't work that way.
So that's the way we do it anyway. Just spare in a moment, get the camera out, and see what comes to our head. Don't get me wrong, there's some outtakes. It's not all free flowing.
Of course. No, but you catch more moments with just basic equipment. You really do. And so anyway, I wanted to touch on that for those that are watching that have thought about creating a channel, starting a channel, but have the reservation of I don't have the right things. You do. Like you have something in your pocket right now. You might be watching this on it. That is more than capable of creating that content. Don't let that be a barrier. Is the
100%. And especially if it's something that you think you'll enjoy, just do it. It doesn't matter if there's one person viewing it or a million people viewing it. If you think you're going to enjoy it, just do it.
Yeah.
Yep. And that circles back nicely to what we were saying earlier, that you have to have a passion for it because there's going to be days that you don't want to do it, but you've got a deadline on getting the video up. And sometimes, it takes a while to catch on, for a YouTube channel. It takes a while of putting up a video and having 30 views, total.
Yeah.
So there's going to be days like that where you look back on it and you're like, why did I do this? Why? And if it's your passion and if you're doing it for like a brand awareness and all that, then it totally makes sense. Then you'll keep on, you'll keep on with the content. Absolutely.
I'm just going to move the screen a little bit because I'm just going to put the charger on.
Yeah, you've got it. All right. So let's get back to the comments. Chuck Pike says, in our township, we can put the finished side of the fence on any side we want.
Yeah.
Good to know. Adam H says, love your channel, lads. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Appreciate you watching.
Mark Davidson says, hi, guys. And how's Hugo D&J?
Oh,
where is that?
Well, I'll tell you, my dad will get him.
We heard him earlier, I think. He was in a disagreement earlier.
Always.
Where's Hugo, babe?
Hugo. If we don't get him now, we will get him before this finishes.
He will be along shortly.
Yeah.
Mike Harris says, I currently have a fence business that I do on the weekends. I'm worried about not being able to get enough jobs for full-time. What is the best source for advertising? Any other advice?
Got the social media, isn't it?
Social media, word of mouth, and
here's Hugo.
Oh, there we go.
Wait, let me get mine.
So anyone that follows the channel will know that Hugo's got diabetes and he has to have 2 insulin shots a day, one in the morning, one at night. And I've got to show you mine as well. This is my boy.
All right. Now, who is this?
This is Manny.
Manny and Hugo.
Manny and Hugo. So they only ask for Hugo, but you get 2 for 1. So
there you go. We get a bonus.
Look at that big boy.
But yeah,
the true mascots of D&J.
Yeah, that's it. There is another one, Tia, but she's absolutely massive. So there's no way we're picking her up.
I was going to say the disagreement I heard earlier, one of the dogs was significantly larger than the other.
Yeah, that's Tia. Yeah, she's an American Bulldog.
But on the advertising advice is social media is your best friend because it costs you absolutely nothing to post something on that. Facebook is obviously massive. So setting up a page on Facebook is great. Doing what my dad did as well with family and friends for starting work.
Pictures, and all pictures speak 1,000 words.
Yep.
Take pictures of your work, post them everywhere.
Before and afters are key.
Yeah.
Before and afters are huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A transformation goes a long way.
Agreed. David, what was the process like when you switched though from nights and weekends to more of a full-time when you left the civil engineering side?
I built a client base up. So I had enough work for 3 months. And it goes back to the same again. I didn't burn my bridges with my company I worked for, the council. I approached them. I said, look, I'm thinking of leaving. I'm going to hand my notice in. Straight away said, don't worry. If it doesn't work out, you can come back. So I'd already made it. So I had a safety net.
Yeah.
As it be. So, but I did it and I've never looked back. You know what I mean? And I'm still in contact with people I used to work with all the time. They come and see me. I mean, and it's 8 years. It's 8 years ago. And I mean, I've got a good relationship with a lot of people.
Fantastic. I think Mike, I think the piece of advice there, one, social media for advertising is first and foremost. But two, I like the point that David made that he had 3 months worth of work booked before he then, took that next step.
Yeah.
And he had a safety net. He had, because of his relationships, he still had a plan B per se of what happens.
Mrs. D&J supported me as well. So she had a full-time job. I must mention her because she'll pull me up about that.
Of
She had a
course.
full-time job and she supported us as well. So while it was taking off, obviously she worked full-time. She did a lot of weekends as well. Yeah. And obviously then she come aboard when it grew.
So let's talk about Mrs. D&J because she doesn't get a lot of airtime on the camera, but what does Mrs. D&J do at D&J?
I'll just say she don't get she's probably listening now, but she didn't get the airtime because she weren't bothered.
Yeah, I understand it.
I was living up. It's so I should try to get ready like this.
But yeah, she mans it with me. She answers the phones. She runs the shop. She takes all the quotes. She does a hell of a lot. Yeah, she does all the admin side of it. I tend now to run a lot of the lads, the yard, make sure stock's there. If stock's not there, I tell Berna. She rings up, gets delivered, and we basically work it all together. Yeah, Stevie goes out quoting now, so he does a lot of the quotes, the fencing. So we all work together. It's a good family unit.
And that's the best thing, right? Is that because it's all family, it all works well. Hi. Oh, hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. That's my debut for the day.
That was kind of my guess, was that she's kind of the glue that keeps a lot of things together. The fact that we don't like being in the office is fine, but you do need an office. You need office support, like you said, for arranging the material, for keeping orders and quotes in line, that sort of thing. It's incredibly important, for sure. So I shared with you guys the other day, I understand not wanting to be on camera too, because I share with my dad every day, or I share your videos with my dad when they come up, and I'll say, hey, Dad, see? Stevie's dad gets on camera. Stevie's dad, he's part of the channel, you could come on the camera too. He's like, oh, I'm much too busy. I've got much. We'll talk about this later, which is fine. Everyone's comfort level is different, right? All right. Twin Pines Fencing says, thanks for sharing your stories, guys. We can all learn from each other, no matter the location. Much appreciated.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. You can never, ever be a know-it-all. There's always something to learn.
Every day's a school day.
Agreed. That's a similar conversation I have with a lot of fence guys. The guys that do well are the guys that have that mentality that the day you stop learning is the day you start falling behind.
Yeah.
The day you stop growing, that sort of thing.
There's always something new to learn. Always.
Agreed. I mean, that's what this conversation was all about. That's how it got started. Was I saw your guys' content and I thought, this is the way we should be doing it. We should find innovation through how you guys are doing fence, there in the UK, that we should learn from that, and you should never stop learning. Absolutely. Roger Bittencourt, he has a good point. There's 3 sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth. The truth usually sits somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Kasuric Distributor says hello from Philadelphia. Good crate, guys. I'm not familiar with that word.
I'm assuming it's I don't know.
Okay. I didn't know either, so I was like, maybe it's
anyway.
Yeah.
What is it? What's crap?
I don't know.
Is it from Ireland?
No.
Jacob Harvey says, I tried working for someone else for 6 months, so have a normal life. It didn't last long. Soon went back to self-employment. Much better.
Yeah.
I think some people are built differently. You know, some people are built to. I don't know how to say this without like making someone feel not great about themselves, but some people are just meant to pour themselves into their task,
Mhm.
right? And some people don't feel that that's worthwhile. Maybe you know that. So anyway, I agree. I'm one of the ones I like to pour myself in. I mean, obviously, like we're doing this on a Saturday, right? And after this, Macy comes up with me on Saturdays. She's done her cleaning so far, so she cleans the office. She's done that, and then after this, I get to do billing. We've got some billing to go out, and we've got to bring home money for some pictures. That's right. Good remembering that. But yeah, but it's if I wasn't meant to pour myself into a task, I would be doing something else.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what I would be doing. I'd probably have a hobby. You know, my hobby tends to be this. Harvey Long says, yes, D&J Projects.
Harvey Long.
Very good. Harvey says, cannot see the swans. Well, not right now. Not right now.
Sunday's video.
Well, Sunday's video. And we just watched the last video, and it showed the swans as well.
Yeah.
Swans are doing okay. They're doing okay.
They have a lot of airtime.
There are people that are very concerned about the swans.
Yeah.
I'll admit, I was a little nervous when the river rose or the lean rose. We were a little nervous about that.
I think Stevie was.
Yeah, we were.
Anthony Wild says, evening, Dad. Evening, son.
Evening.
That's right. That's right. Because it's
evening, yeah.
It's evening there.
6:30 coming up.
Guys, like I said, your time is absolutely valuable. I absolutely understand that. And I appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening. You know, the Saturday evenings are important.
We've enjoyed it.
Honestly, when the email came through, honestly, we'd already knew who you were and watched. Obviously, it's being in the fencing game and not knowing your channel was obviously is a bit of it doesn't seem sense anyway. So we already knew who you were. Had watched a few anyway. And then when the email came through, you should have, honestly, the looks that me and my dad give to me was like, what? Like,
why does he want to know about this?
It's so incredibly interesting to me. You know, there's several interesting aspects to this. It's the father and son dynamic that I relate to, that I like to see work in other scenarios. But also it's, you know, we're alike in a lot of ways in that we build quality fence and we're family dynamic in that, but we're different in other ways too, in that how we build fence and that sort of thing. We're getting close to the 2.5 hour mark. Can I keep you guys a little bit longer? If not, that's totally fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Because I've got other things in my mind and I'm like, oh, we didn't talk about this yet. We didn't talk about the other. If you don't mind, let's talk about how the pandemic has kind of affected on your guys' side of the pond. Because the timing's always different, right? So we started seeing the pandemic right about a year and a few months ago, you know, February, March of last year.
February, March for us as well, really.
Okay. How has that had an effect on what you guys do? And that can be on terms of running the business or material availability is something I'd like to talk about. Just how has it affected the business?
At first, the business boomed. We was managed to carry on working, but obviously with certain measures put in place, we had to, obviously with the concrete side, we had to make a bigger table so that there was 2 meters apart and everything else. So we was able to work. We made bays up outside. So customers, there was no contact. Yeah. They paid over the phone. We took their materials into a bay and then they come and picked it up. But now, moving forward, we find it hard to get materials massively. Yeah. There's a cement shortage. There's wood shortage. Premium, it's shooting through the roof. The prices. Yeah. I don't know if the bigger companies are racketeering on it. I don't know what's happening because a lot of places we're still able to work. And I don't know what's happening, but yeah, there is a big shortage here at the minute.
Yeah. So I'll expand on your comment on the racketeering a little bit. In that, so here in the States, that conversation is going on right now. Is where's the money going? So lumber goods are 3 times the cost or more of where they were a year ago. But when you talk to the loggers, the guys cutting the logs and providing them to the mills, they're not getting paid anymore. The same logs are available. The same logs are being purchased, but they're being purchased from the same price that they were a year ago. So when they go into the machine, they cost the same. But then when they come out of the machine, they cost 3 times as much.
There's a greed from someone.
In the machine.
We all know that there's a greed from someone.
Someone's making money. Obviously, it's wrong. It's very wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because it hurts people.
Yeah.
Right. It can hurt the person that can't afford the whether it's a fence or no matter what we're talking about. If you can't afford it but you need it, then that does you a disservice. Right. And if there's a good valid reason for it, okay, that's fair. But as this goes on, I have a harder and harder time thinking that there's a good reason for it.
Obviously, we all know it's to line someone's pockets a little bit thicker. That's obvious. But obviously, with it coming down to, obviously, we're not just installers as well. We supply to a lot of traders. So there's conversations that you have to have with traders. It's not that we want to put prices up like that.
Sure.
It's just we've got to pay a lot of money as well.
Right. Well, yeah, that's it. The current price is based on what you paid for whatever, for the good. Whether it's the lumber or whether it's the concrete post, it's, hey, if the cement cost goes up, I have to charge more. Your complaint is not with me. I simply charge it according to what I get charged. It's a little bit further up the line than me.
That's true.
But yeah,
some agree with it, but then some think you're the one doing it wrong to them. But it's not like that.
Well, agreed. And we've heard that frustration on, in my business from our clients that we're building fence for that says, hey, you gave me a proposal a year ago, but now the proposal is 70, 80% higher than what it was a year ago. Like, how do you feel good about that? Well, our material costs on average. So when we're talking wood or chain link or across all of our materials, we're up 127% from where we were last year. So if the materials are up 127%, but our finished price is only up 67, 68%. Well, that's because the labor hasn't gone up and our taxes and our overhead hasn't. But, you have to pass it along. You have to. We're not a major corporation. We can't absorb a lot of this. But you're right that the frustration sometimes gets given to us as if we're the ones that are controlling the prices, and it simply isn't true. I'm not building a vacation home in the Bahamas or in the Azores or anywhere. We're still building fence. But it's interesting to hear. That's something I wanted to talk about because I think that's something that maybe gets lost on folks. That this is a worldwide, it's a global issue. It's not just here in the States. It's not just in Canada or in Mexico where we're seeing. In North America is where our experience is. We're not the only ones seeing lumber shortages. You're seeing that globally. And you see it across the board. Whether it's wood or steel or cement, concrete, you see it across the board for sure. We got some more folks saying hello. Let's see. I agree with Harvey. Harvey Long says, what you achieved in 8 years is amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So this question, Kashurik wants to know, do the guys use Post Saver in the UK?
Yeah, it's not really took off, because we do a lot of concrete product and not as much wood as you do or lumber as you guys do. The Post Saver is about, but it's probably not used as much as what it should be.
Yeah. So I had the gentleman with Post Saver on a little while ago, and I felt almost a little bit embarrassed because we don't use the product only because we install steel posts for the most part. We don't install wood posts right now because of the price and the availability. But yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat that we don't use. It's available, it is in the marketplace, but we don't use it so much simply because our posts don't require it. So let's talk about the concrete post. David, what would you say the lifespan of one of the concrete H posts? I mean, providing they don't get run into with a car or a tree doesn't fall on them.
I've seen them 20-year-old. We've been back to install just the panels, and they're 20 years old. Some 30. I mean, they might be a bit dingy and dirty, but they're still strong. Yeah.
Well, when you guys build them, you actually use more of the steel rod, right?
Yeah, it's meant to be 4 in every post, but some companies cut corners to save on the steel. I think it's the same everywhere, isn't it?
Yep. So I'm interested to see how those are made. I would love to see a video, but I also understand, there's some things that just don't need to make it on the video. You know what I mean? So I understand if that's what this is, but I am incredibly interested in, because you showed us the large concrete blocks that we will not call Legos. We've seen those, and that makes a lot of sense. We see those here a lot, like down interstates and highways, that sort of thing. But we actually have a sand pit here that we need some blocks around. I have seen the video. I know how this is done now. And we've seen gravel boards, but we haven't seen the posts. You know what I mean?
I think it's definitely going to come, Joe. It's not something I want to hide.
Okay.
If you want to set it up and do it yourself, then obviously it's there for everyone to do. I can't stop anyone from doing it. But I will show it. It's just hard to show that with the lads in the unit and everything else. So we've got to set a little time aside. Yeah. Get them involved, or I've got to go on the table with someone who's prepared to be filmed.
More so, because obviously filming every minute counts in that concrete room. So stopping it to film for 30 minutes to get everything set right.
It's going to stop them for an hour.
Cost effective as well. So.
Yep. I understand that. Yeah. The minute the concrete comes out the chute, it's starting to set.
Yeah.
It will 100% be done.
Yeah. I promise
it would be interesting to see for sure. For sure. All right. So let's see. Josh Fields has joined us from Central Illinois. Hello, Josh. Josh isn't so far from me. Buying South Florida says, hello from Miami. I love your channel. You helped me put up 3 awesome fences.
That's wicked.
Brilliant.
Very good. Are you ready to finish my fence with a gate on metal posts instead of wood? There you go. Michael says, I don't know what this word is.
I don't know what the word means, but I think he's going back to the lumber prices, that it's like a cockroach as such taking advantage of the situation.
Gotcha. Yep.
Unless that's meant to say roach.
I think you're probably right. I agree. My fencing gate have horizontal panels. Can you recommend a gate kit for metal posts for horizontal wood panels? So here in the States, there are steel kits. There's the Adjust-A-Gate kit that's sold Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards. I think all pretty much carry them. I would say anything that's made for a vertical picket gate can be made for a horizontal gate. It'll just need a little bit of ingenuity. I don't know of a kit that's built for horizontal boards. Someone should make this though, because guys, here in the States, we're seeing a lot of fences built with horizontal pickets or rails rather than vertical pickets.
There's a lot of people liking that style over here as well. They're seeing it more of a modern style.
Correct. Yep, that's right.
Contemporary style,
that's right. I think I saw it, Stevie. I think I watched a video that you had made a panel with horizontal. And you call them feather edge, is that right?
So the vertical ones So where they're standing up tall, we call them feather edge.
Okay.
And then the horizontal, I don't know, slatted panels.
Okay.
Which we're installing one next week as well, so that'll make it into next week's video.
I'm tuning in. Stevie's getting good at this YouTube stuff. He's like, tune in next week to see this video. I like it. Richard Wing says, I need a quote for a fence in San Diego.
Let's ring the office.
Yep. Give the office a call.
That's what I can say.
Did I say that right? San Diego?
Yeah, you did.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Look at me. All right. Kyle says, hi, D&J from South Wales.
Hi.
Very good. So, rolling back to the conversation on the pandemic, materials notwithstanding, did you guys have to change how you operated your business? Well, so you said with the pickup areas and with the table, did it affect how many team members you guys had show up and when they showed up?
Yeah, we had to scale down a little bit because we couldn't operate the business the way it was. So yeah, it was scaled down a little bit. People were put on furlough and stuff.
Yeah, we saw much the same. We're still seeing the same as far as, there's companies all over the United States that are trying to hire, and there's simply not enough folks out there to be hired. Are you guys seeing anything like that on your end?
Yeah. It's hard to hire people, and decent people want to work. Yeah, it is hard.
Yep. Very good. Let's see. No yawning. It's too early for that here. Not there. Here it's too early for that. All right. Thank you for the tips, Miami says. I'm trying to think. As we were talking, I was thinking about things. I need to get better about the YouTube about writing down notes. But let's do this, guys. Do you have questions for me? I've asked a bunch of questions from you guys. I'd like to answer some if I can.
I do actually have one, obviously when we saw it's not quite fence related just yet anyway.
That's fine.
But it's to do when we watched that video earlier. My dad took the HGV grab to the petrol station.
Yeah,
it cost us. I've took a screenshot actually because I was going to ask them, but I thought no, I'll save it to the end.
Okay,
when we're asking a few questions.
Yeah,
my dad spent. What was it? So he put 99 liters in of fuel.
Okay.
Which is 26 gallons.
Okay.
So I've converted it for you. So,
yeah, 3.1. Thank you.
So, and that's cost us $184 United States dollars. In our, obviously, that's why it's cost us once we've converted it. But that sounds like a lot of money for the amount of gallons that you've received. So 26 gallons would cost us $184, and it sounds expensive for you guys.
Yes, and that's for diesel or gas.
Yes, that was diesel.
Yeah, so diesel right now, I filled up yesterday. It was $2.99, so it'd be a little less than half that. So that ran for $184 for 26 gallons, ran out to $7.07. So minus $2.99. So it's about $4 more per gallon than what we pay.
Yeah. Wow. Because obviously we do pay, it seems, quite a lot in fuels, obviously, because there's always
we've got taxes on it.
Yeah, obviously we pay a bit of tax onto that as well. But that was one I was wondering how much you guys actually pay in comparison to us.
Yeah, so $2.99 a gallon would be roughly $11.66 a liter.
Yeah.
Roughly. Is that right? 3.9 liters to the gallon. Nope, that's not right. $2.99 divided by 3.9. 76 cents. 76 cents per liter. Is that right? What's your cost per liter right now?
Diesel around about 135, give or take. Obviously, depending on where you are, it goes up and down.
Sure. Yeah, so that work out. So we're roughly 77 cents or so.
Yeah. So definitely a difference in comparison from where you are to where we are.
And I noticed that too. and it's not necessarily an across the pond thing. So up in Canada, their diesel is significantly more expensive than here in the States. So I have to think maybe I would have to think that maybe it's taxation then, to some extent, maybe.
Probably, yeah, to be honest.
Yeah, it's which right now I'm thankful to be that the majority, I guess we have two vehicles that are not diesel, that are gasoline. Diesel right now, the cost has stayed pretty steady. Gasoline prices right now are incredibly high. Let me see what the local is on gasoline. So people in the States will find this interesting too. So our gasoline prices are typically some of the lowest in the United States because we're at the end of two of the pipelines. So typically the pipelines end right around our area, and then they get pumped onto trucks, and then the semi trucks or the articulated trucks take them onto the stations wherever the stations may be. So let's see here. Find gas. Yeah, so gasoline here costs almost as much as diesel. So gasoline is costing $2.87 a gallon, which, so let me run that out. 287 divided by 3.9. So roughly 74 cents a liter. And that's some of the least expensive in the United States. A lot of places are a lot more expensive. For us, so one of the issues we're having here in the States is transportation. There's simply not enough truck drivers to transport the goods back and forth, from where we are in the Midwest out to the coasts. There was, and I will not get political with the show, but there was a pipeline in process that would have made it easier to move these fuels around the United States, and the current president shut it down. So, and then, which meant, just to wrap this all back around, which meant that gasoline prices, jumped up immediately.
Yeah.
So Ian Burgess says UK fuel duty is currently 57.95 pence per liter for petrol and diesel. Okay. So
liters, that's the tax. The tax that you have to pay per liter.
Yeah.
Which is obviously the tax is almost as much as you were paying for the fuel itself.
Just for the fuel. Isn't so taxes are an interesting conversation to have too. So we pay tax on our property. We also pay tax on the goods we buy. And then we pay taxes on our earnings. It's interesting to hear how taxes are different. Do you guys pay tax on your property, like an annual tax on your vehicles and buildings and such?
It's pretty much going to be the same then, to be honest. Because anyway they can get the money out of you, they're going to get it out of you. Let's be honest. So
that's right. That's right.
It's the same here, pretty much. There might be a few differences, obviously, but taxes are pretty much all the same, aren't they?
You have to pay them.
Yeah, they'll charge them one way or the other.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. In Miami, 89E, which let me see what's available here. So we'll have different octane ratings on gasoline. Let me see.
From like 95 to 99.
Yeah. So ours range, it looks like from 87 to 93. So 89 is going to be kind of right in the middle at $3 to $3.25 per gallon. So a little under $1 a liter. Well, yeah. My head starts hurting when I do conversions too. But all right, Dylan Creekmore says, I need about 140 foot of fence put up. Should I wait and do chain link fence for now, or spend money on a wood fence? Dylan, it's probably going to be a personal question based on what what outcomes you're looking for, what job duties this fence needs to perform. So chain link fence, and in terms of the material cost, chain link fence is up quite a bit lately. The fittings. So this is an interesting conversation to have. So our chain link fence fittings, the imported ones, there are a few factories here in the United States. Most of them are imported, come from either India, China, or Pakistan. India currently is going through a second round of COVID, a mutated form of COVID. So they're feeling, they're going through a second round of what everyone's already been through with factories shut down. Obviously, people being very sick, that sort of thing. So India is all but shut down. China they've rearranged their export rebate programs for their factories. The end result just means the fittings coming out of China are a lot more expensive. And obviously we cannot purchase from Pakistan. So the chain, I say all that to say chain link fence will be very expensive, probably within the next quarter or so. So it used to be that chain link was a lower cost alternative to a wood fence. But currently there's not a huge savings. And I'd say in the near future, they're probably going to be priced about the same. So, yep. Buying South Florida agreed. So it depends on the urgency. If you can wait, it might make sense to wait on wood. So here in the States, there's some economists that are saying that they expect wood prices to start falling in third quarter. So, here in a few months to start falling. And then by fourth quarter to normalize, which I think normalize is a weird word because for us here in the States, and again, slightly political, I understand, but there's been a lot of money printed. So the Federal Reserve is printing money at an incredible pace, which has to create inflation. When you have more money in the economy, it takes more money to buy things. It just has to happen. If you're going to keep yawning, you can just right around the corner there, Missy. So there has to be inflation. So the cost has to go up anyway. But, so the economists are saying third quarter should start falling. Fourth quarter wood should normalize. If you're willing to wait,
nice.
That it could be a bit of a gamble though. So last Monday we got a price increase notification. So Alta Lumber, they're kind of the quality Western Red Cedar board. And there's a lot of people that will jump in these comments and tell me I'm wrong, and that's fine. One guy's opinion, Alta's the Western Red Cedar board. 25% increase last Monday. So are there more increases coming? The economists say it's supposed to fall, but the economists also aren't going to pay for your fence. So take that for what it's worth. Jack Morgan says, Big Steve, want to see a bench off you and your dad.
I used to work with that guy.
Okay. Makes it even funnier.
We used to go to the gym together. I'll say used to, because I know none of us have been recently. So.
Me included. It's been too long. Stevie, no disrespect, but I think Dad might have you on that one.
Well, I think so.
He's on this side of the lens. I don't know. I'm not there.
He's on more of the wide angle.
More of the fisheye lens. Okay. Yeah. Ian Burgess says VAT at 20% is then charged on both products' price and the duty.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys have value added tax. Is that right?
Yeah.
VAT. So that we get into that when we're buying goods from Mexico. I believe Mexico has a VAT tax. You guys have all the taxes.
Yeah.
Dylan Creekmore says, need to put up something to keep the dogs in for now. I don't know if it's stupid to do a chain link fence now and do the wood later, saying that if wood drops, would I've ended up spending the same? If you can wait, I'd say wait. Right now materials are at an all-time high. So, if you can wait till, fourth quarter is going to be the early winter. So if you can wait till then, go for it, knowing that you might need to wait a little bit longer. I don't think the wood prices can sustain themselves. I really don't. Prices in general, wood, steel, concrete, cement, I don't think they can sustain themselves. I really don't. People are putting off projects now because of the cost of goods. So I don't think it can hold. I really don't. If you can afford not to do something right now, maybe you don't. And this is coming from a guy that makes money building fence. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would prefer you build a fence, but if we're looking at the other side of the coin, I'd say you hold off if you can. In Southeast Texas. So yeah, I would hold if you can. Michael says, I paid today in Melbourne $1.27 a liter. In UK is 69 pence per liter.
Which is that's into it. That's crazy.
So we're double that.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1.27. All right, so let me do math. So I know 1.27 times 3.9 gets us to. Nope. You have to do. You're right. I have to press the multiplication, not the division. Big difference there. 3.9, 3.9. Yeah, 495. Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot. Well, but it's a lot to me. It's not a lot to you guys, though.
Yeah.
You said it's half of what you're at. So, well, yeah. Diesel $1.27. So that's $1.27. All right, it's the same price. Okay, that was for diesel. Dylan, you're welcome. All right, you guys got any other questions? You got anything you'd like to talk about?
How many lorries have you got then, and how many staff, and what's your infrastructure like?
Yeah. So we have. I got to stop and do math. So we've got 4. Not math. I just had to think about what we have. So 4 trucks. So all of our trucks are either 3/4 or 1 ton. Most of them are what we would term a flatbed. So they don't have the actual box bed on them. We have 1 van, and then we've got, my dad has a 1/2 ton truck, so for the running around sort of thing. As far as employees, we've got 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. We've got about 18, 19 employees thereabouts. Wow. We could use more. We did a hiring round 3 weeks ago now. We scheduled 27 interviews. 6 of those actually showed up. 3 of the 6 were employable. It's absolutely crazy right now. How about you guys? Where are you guys at as far as size?
We range from 12 staff and go down in winter a little bit.
Yeah.
So probably go down to 10 staff in winter. It's a lot of family. So I've got Maureen's in the shop, which is Bernie's sister. Yeah. Jamie, who's in the wood department, he's been a long time employee now. Jordan in the concrete side, he left and come back and realised it was for him. He loved it. He missed it that much. Now
is Jordan Big J?
No, Big J's a new employee. That's Jack.
I'm getting confused. I'm sorry.
He's a part of when we do the installation. He comes with me for the installation. He's actually covering for someone in the concrete side at the minute.
Okay,
that's why he's not been on the camera as of late. But next week he's in the YouTube video all week because he's on the fences with me again. Big J Jizzle.
Big J.
And van-wise, how many vans we got?
We've got the
The grab,
2 tippers.
the 17 for the deliveries, the 08 as we call it. Mm-hmm. All these are just random numbers to you, we know, but they mean something to us. 17 for delivery, the 08 for sort of delivery / installation. The Belingo, which is the van that my dad started off with that he's not getting rid of.
Yeah.
The Ranger, the Ford Ranger truck, more of a quotation truck. Never goes out anywhere. So Mum's always driving that. And obviously the business car as such. But
it's not a business car.
I say the business car. It never moves off the drive. It collects more dust than road miles. But other than that,
yeah, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
Well, in one thing I caught in your video the other day that was interesting. So the concrete, you run the concrete year round. but you build up the inventory through the winter, and then you use it through the summer.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
They're obviously in the lads in the concrete department are making and popping every single day.
Yeah.
So it looks like a lot of steels in that video. It looks like there's a lot of steels out there to be filled, and obviously they do get filled because it's a little quieter in the winter, but it soon picks up, and then it's sort of not playing catch up, but you're just always making sure you're on top of it all the time.
So that's an interesting question too. So when you come into, say your posts, the concrete post, do you prioritize those but based on how many you need for installs versus how many are available to be sold retail to the public?
No, we don't really need to do that. It's a first come first served basis. There's orders. Obviously, we supply a lot of big companies and stuff, so they put their orders in quite far in advance, 4 weeks in advance. So we put them all to one side anyway. And then the traders come in. The traders are used as regular. We look after them. And then there's a certain amount for general public. And the jobs that were booked in with Steve when he goes and quotes them, that are normally 4 to 6 weeks in advance anyway. So we can make sure we've got them put away and make sure we've always got them for us.
Yeah. And that goes back to the original of why my dad started to make a certain size of posts, because when my dad was just an installer, and then he was told he could have a post. Going back to the question of if we need to install a fence, but then can't sell it to someone else. That happened to my dad before and was let down on the day of getting that post. So we make sure that if we've got a job in, we don't then sacrifice the customer getting what they already needed. We made sure that we've planned ahead in advance to give everyone what they need.
Yeah, I just don't want that to happen like it did to me to happen to another trader. So I always make sure everyone's got what they need.
Understood.
Yeah, if they pre-ordered it as well, they'd definitely have it. Definitely.
Yeah. So let me ask, and feel free to tell me to mind my own business. So say I ordered a fence. About how long of a wait time is there on your guys' end from when I meet with Stevie and I say yes, I want to go ahead, from that time till I get a fence, roughly how long is that?
What are we now? 4 to 6 weeks.
It's always best to give ourselves 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
There may be certain days that are free, because obviously when we book jobs in, sometimes we give ourselves a bit of head time in.
Yep.
Because stuff can always go wrong. The weather can be against us for the full week and it can put us behind.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes we always say 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 at a real push. But people going off word of mouth and the reviews, they tend to stick with that anyway. They're happy with what they're seeing. A nice smile when you quote it goes a long way, and they like to stick with you anyway.
If it's a repair, though, if it's a repair, we normally can push them forward.
Like the sliding jobs where the concrete posts are already there, they don't take as long, so you can squeeze jobs in.
You can use that as more filler work than
like filling up the day. Sometimes you can do 3 or 4 of them in one day rather than one full install.
Sure, that makes sense. So knowing that there's a 4 to 6 week, let's talk about that for a second. I think that's optimal. We're right around 5 weeks, so right in the middle of that. You hear guys sometimes in these Facebook groups say that they are 4 months out. I'm booked solid for 4 months. I think that's a problem. Like I really do. I think if you're that far out, I think that's a sign that something's gone wrong.
Yeah.
You really ought to, probably something in your pricing is not quite right. But at 4 to 6 weeks. So you sell a job and you'll be there in 4 to 6 weeks. So then you take those posts out of production and set them aside for that job.
We do, and sometimes we don't need to because we've got that much stock. So they're making every day. So they make anywhere from 130 posts a day with corners and ends and 12s, probably 100 to 130 a day. That's what they're making.
Wow.
And that's a 5-day week.
Yeah.
So there's definitely over 500 posts being made every week and over 500 gravel boards being made every week. So 5 to 6 weeks' time, as you can imagine, that's thousands and thousands. So there's chances are there will be stock still there.
Yeah. That you have the 10 or 15 that you might need for that project.
Yeah, if it ever did come to that, then obviously we've planned ahead anyway. We know what jobs are coming up. We set stuff aside. We give traders enough advance warning. Obviously, we're running a little bit low on levels at the minute. If you've got anything, and normally they work with us.
Sure.
We've got a good relationship with all our customers and traders, to be fair.
Very good. So, and I assume probably the same scenario over on the wood shop side.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly the same.
Because it's like a package deal as such. You need a post and a gravel board. You sort of need a panel.
You gotta need a panel.
They all come together as such in that sense.
We talked the other day, and I'd like to share. So in the UK, so you guys primarily use, was it spruce?
Yeah.
And it usually comes pre-stained.
Yeah.
Very good. I had that thought because looking at the stack, Stevie, I like how you're going through and you always go very well stocked, very well stocked. We're always stocked up. As a guy that's got a company, like I can appreciate that. Like, hey guys, we still got a bunch of stuff here, just so you know, a bunch of stuff. All right, let's catch up for a little bit and then we'll call it a day. This Rashish wants to know: do you ever have the concrete compression tested?
We do cube tests. So yeah, it's like a compression test. Yeah. Okay. So we set cubes aside, send them off, and they come back with a test of how strong the concrete is at a certain point in its life.
Perfect. And once you get, so let's talk about the concrete machine. I know we're bouncing around a little bit, but the concrete machine, you've got it pretty well dialed in for it gets so much sand, so much the Portland or the concrete, and then so much of the aggregate. Once you get that dialed in, it's pretty well set, isn't it?
Yeah, because we have to have spec sheets from the quarry. So there's a spec sheet from the cement we use. So that's always set at that spec. The same granule of grain on the sand is the same, and it's the same size aggregate on the limestone. And then that's all programmed into that mixer, and the gates open to the certain amounts to that concrete what's coming through. The only thing we mess about with is the water. So and then for the water, we've got a slump test. So basically, you put some concrete in this funnel, you took upside down, and if it slumps, and how long it takes to slump, and that's how we know. Obviously, then we send the cubes off.
Interesting. Well, that's very good to know. Jack Morgan wants you to know, Dave, if you need a grab driver on Saturdays, he's your man. So there's that.
Has he got a grab ticket? Has he got HTV? Yeah. Oh, we're replacing Stevie then, Jack.
Oh, Stevie. I don't know.
Stevie don't pass his jobs there.
Jacob Harvey says, how do you know when to expand the company, employ more, buy more equipment? It's a big gamble if things don't go to plan.
That's a hard question. Yeah.
It is a big question. Well, so let's talk about him. Let's talk about, it says company employee. Let's talk about, I prefer team members rather than employees. And I know it's semantics, but how do you know, Dave, when you need to hire on more?
When the hours start getting longer. And you can't do that certain amount of work in that time frame. I think then you need to start looking, right, is there another person to your team that can make the difference? And if there is, I think that's where you need to start hiring.
Exactly. That's what we take. We take a look at time sheets on how much overtime are we paying in a week, and are there pain points in the business? Do the projects in the yard not get completed on time, or are we behind on the production, that sort of thing? I think that's the best way. So Dave, you guys bought a new piece of equipment. How did you know it was the right time to buy that piece of equipment?
Well, we was paying too much for repair bills on the older piece of equipment. When you weigh it up, you got to think, all right, it's logical, isn't it? The amount of money you're paying on repair bills, if it's outweighing the the machine, and obviously it's time to get a new machine or try something new. Obviously, with the machine we're still waiting for. Obviously, it's coming end of July, I believe. But we'll still be keeping that other piece of machine as backup.
Yeah,
I think it just makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Like you need to have redundancies.
Yeah, the yellow tally truck, the JCB, it's paid for. So I probably could sell it and it fetch good money, but I think selling it with very select when it can just sit there, it can be a backup truck.
Yeah. Well, a backup truck or when you need to expand, you've got it ready to take on additional roles.
Yeah.
I had a thought and I lost it. So what were we going to say? We're talking about expanding and all that and equipment. I have no idea what I was going to say. Let's see. How do you know when to expand the company? Oh, that's the same. It's a big gamble. Things don't go right. I think that's. Yep, that was the same question twice. Okay. Big J Jizzle is in the house. So says Jack.
That must be Jack.
It's like a genie. You ask for him and he shows up.
Yeah, we've got a good team. We have got a good team. Yeah, it's D&J won't be where it is without the team behind it. So one of them's a valuable member to staff. Valuable.
Yeah, let's talk about that, David. In how we treat team members, right? A lot of the value of coming to work at one of our companies, some of the value is in the pay. That's definitely some of the value. What do you do to provide additional value to your team members just outside of pay rate?
Yeah, there's bonuses. A lot of the team, I do help them outside of work if they've got a problem as well. Like, just for instance, one of the lads was moving the other day or wants to move a bed. Can I borrow a van? Yeah, borrow a van. Yeah, it's one of the other lads wants to move house. We all helped him move house. It's I think it comes down to being nice, doesn't it? If you be nice to her. Obviously, I do have bad days. I will not lie to you. There's days when I do get stressed. I do, but they all know. They all know. And obviously, they take it with a pinch of salt when that happens.
Yeah, we're all.
Yeah, I think if you look after them, and they'll look after you, and they'll respect you, and they'll work harder for you as well. If they see you alongside them as well, grafting away, they give it all.
Absolutely. Stevie, from your perspective, you've worked outside the company and now you've worked in the company. What makes D&J different than other companies in your community as far as like from an employment standpoint?
I think it's more so that we'll do anything we physically can do to get that job done. Even if it's going to cost us in the long run by installing a longer panel, just going back to the fencing, if we have to install a longer panel that's going to cost us, we don't put that charge onto the customer. Don't get me wrong, I get that we fully could do that and companies would do that.
Sure.
I think it's about going the extra mile for the company, the customer.
Yeah. And
literally just giving our all for that job and to be the perfectionist that we are in the job and changing that. But I'd say that's why. I'd say that's what it is for us.
Sure, gotcha. That makes sense. John Peak says Stevie is the best.
Well, thank you. And I agree.
Now, John, David would like to have a word with you later, but well, guys, I have had an absolute amazing time. I appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you so much for having us. It has been really amazing.
What if we made this some sort of regular deal? What if a quarterly or something like that?
Yeah, perfect.
I have different guys in the fencing world that I have on fairly regularly to hear their perspective on what's going on in their market and that sort of thing. I would absolutely love to have you guys on a regular basis to hear what's new with D&J and what's new in the UK.
No, 100%. Honestly, like I said, we've got that WhatsApp group now.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Once this interview's finished and obviously stuff like that, there's no reason why we can't all keep in touch anyway. So
I agree.
Carry on in the future with another video. That would actually be amazing to us.
Be careful, Dave. He'll be flying out there to come and see you. I'm stuck with it.
I've actually rolled it around in my brain. I was like, I've wanted to visit Europe. I really have. That's like it's on my mind lately. So it might be that I find my way out in the UK way. For sure.
There's your reason, buddy.
Macy says don't forget her, but she's probably gonna have school or something. I don't know. She's gonna she says I want to come see the Swans actually. So
Yeah.
Jacob's got it right when he says treat your team how you expect to be treated. They might not be family, but they're family to the company.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, and that's just a general aspect of life. Treat people how you expect to be treated.
Bingo. Absolutely. Well, guys, like I said, I do appreciate your time. I have gotten a kick out of this. We talked before earlier, a few days ago when I said, I usually feel like I'm doing this selfishly because I want to learn so much about you guys and your company and just learn more about you. But I hope those that are viewing at home got the same kick out of it that I did because I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been amazing. Honestly, thank you for even asking us in the first place.
Of course. Guys, again, the channel, D&J Projects, please go check them out. Give them a subscribe. Ring the bell so the YouTube lets you know each and every week when they have new content available on Wednesdays and Sundays.
Wednesdays and Sundays.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, guys, appreciate you guys coming on. I really do.
Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it.
Take
For
care.
you folks at home, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. And we'll see you guys later.
Cheers.